and it didn't work.
Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Well, hello there. It worked, kinda, except for I didn't press play on my intro, so it was dark. But I'm like, it's not going. What the hell's going on? Anyways, howdy, everybody. Welcome to Gas Mask, a special edition of Gas Mask and Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Jeff, and today's super cool. It's the birth of our country, and I gotta stop there because if I say anything more, I might really get rolling and it may never end. So we'll just stop there. It was the birth of our country on today, July 4th, and so it's a holiday. And I feel very blessed. I've got my daughter with me, Maddie. She's here and haven't seen her since Christmas, right? Yeah, Christmas time. And I got my good buddy Kellen from Killing for Company is here. And dude, I want to thank you so much for giving up a little bit of your time on a holiday, man, because like when we were trying to put this together, I was thinking it was going to be a Saturday, but her schedule got a little wonky on Saturday, so it's like, well, let's see if we can make this happen on Friday. And thank you so much for doing this, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. You know, we were just talking backstage about this, but the genesis for this concept has been, I mean, I don't know when that Nick Drake dive that you got a couple of years ago, probably.
It was probably at least a year and
No,
change.
I think it's
Well, it was I think my second year when I was living in
it's 20.
Asheville.
It's 23. It's 23. It's 2 years.
Plus years.
Yeah, it's 2 years.
What is time, right?
Yeah. So we've been in some shape or form. This has been kicking around for a while, and I know both of you are actually musicians. So
A little bit.
I thought it'd be as much as I can contribute here as a fan of the records.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing voice.
Yeah. So I'm happy that we made it happen.
I actually was going to learn. I could pull my guitar and actually play a couple Beck songs, but not the whole way through because I didn't have time to like woodshed and get, But most of them are fairly simple from an acoustic guitar standpoint, and then the ones that are more elaborate with the orchestrations, which we'll get into here in a minute, are obviously they probably wouldn't translate well to just an acoustic guitar. But yeah, actually, how it really got started was beyond the Nick Drake thing. You and I talked about doing a comparison and contrasting between this and Morning Phase, which was the kind of companion piece to this that Beck put out in 2013. I could have swore that was 2018. She's like, Dad, it was 2013. Now, do you want to tell Kellen why you know that?
Yeah, I'm a bit ashamed, but I accidentally studied and listened to Morning Phase instead of Sea Changes. So
she blew the assignment.
But I do have a lot of notes for Morning Phase if there was, any relative information to supply.
We can sneak your opinion on that one, but this was the one we were doing. So.
Yeah, I feel I cheated myself most on that.
Yeah, and we're gonna try something out. We're gonna try playing a track from each album and see if we don't get kicked off. Now, the whole thought process behind this is the title of the series, and hopefully if people watch it enough, I'll do one each month. Probably not more than that, but and I actually will get maybe fan input, people that watch the channel will get their input, and then what I might do is like if I invite, for example, say I invited Marty on, I'd be like, hey, pick 3 albums that you feel are like the perfect 3 albums to go together for a listening experience. And I feel that this album, and unfortunately, I can't find my other CDs for Chris Cornell's Morning Euphoria and Jeff Buckley's Grace. I have multiple copies of Grace, but I put them somewhere and I cannot find them because I do not have my CD collection up on a wall like most of you normal people. It's in boxes all over in closets everywhere. And those are ones that I haven't listened to actively for a while, so I couldn't find them in trying to prep for this. Truthfully, I've had a rough couple days with my neuro illness, like really rough. Today is the first day I've had where I've been out of bed for an extended period of time for almost a week. So it was really tough digging around for those. I just kind of was like, you know what? I can't find them. It is what it is. I do not own these on vinyl because when they came out, 94 for Grace, 99 for Morning Euphoria, and 2002 for this one, they weren't doing a lot of vinyl back then. And in fact, the original vinyl press of Grace, super expensive, like $300, $400, $500. I'm not buying it. I can get a repress. I have no problem with that. Morning Euphoria was not pressed on vinyl.
Euphoria Morning.
Morning Euphoria.
I think it's Euphoria Morning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Euphoria Morning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm calling that Morning Euphoria. Okay.
Morning phase tripped you out.
Yeah, Morning Phase is getting me. Right.
So many mornings, so many times.
God, that's terrible. That's one of my favorite albums of all time, and I transposed the titles. Anyways, Euphoria Morning. You're right. It is Euphoria Morning. Which, by the way, when the original album came out, it was entitled Euphoria Morning with an O, but Chris wanted it to be with a U, morning, like
Yes.
death.
Yep.
And from 2015 on, the represses of CDs and the first press of the album, which, again, that's a spicy one to get already 10 years on, was spelled with an OU, like Morning of Death, which he said his manager kind of said, nah, we should go with Morning with an O. And he ended up, going with that until the repress. So that's another one on vinyl that's not very cheap. And even this one is not cheap if you go look for it. So, I don't know when I'll get those. And if I do, they'll probably be represses. This is not OG press here. Okay. I'm OG repress. No problem. If I can save money, I'm all about it. Right. So
on streaming platforms, I think they include the U.
They do include the U. Yep,
the record with that.
So the thought process real quick, and then we'll get into the albums, was essentially how do they compare in some respects? How do they contrast in some respects? And we should mention too that these 3 albums came out within an 8-year window. They're not like one was 68, one was 72, and one was 2015. They're in a nice little tight window of when, and there's some other tie-ins that I'm sure we will mention between Chris Cornell and Jeff Buckley and Beck and other artists that influenced this album. So we'll kind of talk about those things. But that was kind of the thought process. And I kind of figured this is the beta test today, and we'll just sort of figure it out as we go along. And that'll give me some ideas about how to approach the next one that I do. Because I know, Kellen, I know how you are. You're a studious student of listening. So you're going to bring up shit that I'm like, I hadn't thought about that. God, he's so smart. I hate him. So that's kind of where we'll go. So I guess the first one that I thought we would start with, I think we're going to go backwards. We'll go the 2002 Beck album first, and then we'll trip through Cornell and then get to Buckley last. Okay.
Nice.
So, this album by Beck here. Now, the interesting thing, it was released September 24th, 2002. Was recorded between March and May of 2002 at Ocean Studios in Hollywood and Record One in Los Angeles. It came out through Geffen, which I'm not even sure if Geffen's a label anymore now. That was a big
thing back in 2000.
EGC, but I think he sold out to Universal probably, and made bazillions, of course. And the producer is Nigel Godrich. And the interesting part about Nigel Godrich was he's well known for a lot of different albums, but probably mostly for a huge album by an English band. And Nigel Godrich, by the way, is English. And that would be Radiohead's OK Computer.
Oh, shit.
So, and you definitely hear some of that in here with the production tricks, some of the really cool orchestrations. He was not the guy that did the orchestrations, but it just that kind of thing. So, hey James, what's up, buddy? Yeah, man. We're gonna get into these. So, hopefully we'll be able to send your thoughts into the chat there, and we'll see what's going on. But now I don't expect a lot of people to be watching us live today because it is a holiday, and people are probably already partying or going out to eat and then going to fireworks and all that stuff, which we're going to do later when we wrap up. But so I'm not really worried about that, but I do hope that people will watch this series, because if they don't, then what's the point of doing it? You know what I mean? So
For our own enjoyment.
yeah, for sure. Kellen, when I hit you up with this idea, what thoughts hit your head? Because I'm curious to think about how you approach listening to these.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing that came through my mind, I mean, I'm just for perspective, Buckley comes around very early in my childhood.
Awesome.
So trying like the appreciation for that record, obviously when in 1994, I would have been 10.
Wow.
But I grew up in a household when my parents, they listened primarily to singer-songwriter folk stuff. That was their world. So, but I just kind of, it a little bit kind of washed over me. And I think even then, he probably was not recognized and praised back in 94 when it came out. I think his grace has grown in stature over the years.
1,000,000%.
So, no, the Cornell record, that one, there was a new one to this listening assignment. So
I'm really stoked to hear what you had to say about it.
And then obviously for Sea Change for me, that one I was, much older. I'm getting ready to graduate from high school when this record comes out.
Right.
So, I have a lot of, like, I just talking broadly about music, I would say this was something that came out, like I'd started, my personal life in terms of dating and so on and so forth. Back when I was 17 years old, I thought it was very serious. But I think one of the cool things about music, though, and for a record like this, is they'll introduce, certain emotions or life experiences to you in a way that you probably haven't experienced at different points in your life, or at that point I hadn't. Beck's leaving a 9-year, I think, relationship.
Yep.
And he's probably, I'm trying to get the timing right, but he was born in 70, so he's in his early 30s.
Right.
When he's writing this. And now here I'm, 40 and thinking about like those kind of relationships that you're navigating. And for me, it felt like a very mature way, or someone who was beyond my years, but dealing with loss on record in a way that I had not experienced, but like at some point, like put a level of sophistication or complexity of a loss that often teenagers aren't sort of given the opportunity to, or even given the opportunity to experience, right?
Yeah, right, sure.
And I think that music does that across the board, right? It doesn't judge you based on how old you are, what you're supposed to, what the world tells you you're allowed to feel or experience. And I think as kids, as adolescents in this regard, like Sea Change was for me an opportunity to experience something that I felt was beyond my years, but I was kind of like trying to reach into and grasp and hold on to and understand, even in my like teenage dating life, right?
Right.
It doesn't feel like an angsty teenager going through a breakup, right? Like this is an adult dealing with the first real major loss in terms of relationship, and so there's that emotional component to it. And I think when you came to me with this idea, I think as listening through these three records, I mean, there's a through line in terms of one, all of them, Cornell, is this tragic figure, right? In terms of like, we just experienced, his passing recently. And thinking about that in the context of this record and what he was also dealing with, I think, a failed marriage.
Right. Well, he left his marriage for another woman, and it was pretty, there's a whole lot of baggage I'm not going to get into with the whole other woman thing, his second wife, but a lot of stuff out there on the internet about that. But Chris, I think Chris was struggling with depression and anxiety all of his life. And I know, as a fellow sufferer of anxiety and depression, that led me to medication, that he was led to medication. that frankly, that medication kind of fucking destroyed the last 10 years of my life. So I can very much empathize. I haven't chose to opt out like he did, but you kind of look at a guy like him and go, man, super amazingly talented guy. Just, every dude would want to look like Chris Cornell because he's fucking gorgeous. And I don't have a problem saying that as a guy because that dude was hot, man. I would love to look like that guy, right? But I mean, and just so endowed with just what, to me, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to come right out. I think Chris Cornell might have had the greatest voice of of his generation, which is my generation.
Well, we've got a couple of them to talk about tonight.
Yeah,
because-
you're right.
Yeah, a lot of
I was like,
you're right.
well,
Yeah.
there's always Jeff Buckley.
Yeah, and that's there. And
Yeah.
and the interesting thing about that was, and I'll let you finish your thought because I just interjected. Chris and Jeff were kind of best friends, and Chris had a lot to do with Nightmares by the Sea. Or I'm sorry, Sketches of My Sweetheart the Drunk. We were talking about Nightmares by the Sea, and going to Jeff's mom and saying, you got to put this stuff out. These demos, even though they are demos, they have to be out there. So Chris and Jeff, that's a nexus, a huge nexus that you have to consider with why I brought that album into this along with these other two. So go back to your thought about what you thought about. Sorry.
That's cool because you have more intimate knowledge in terms of that relationship between the musicians.
Right.
For me, when I hearing, going back and listening to Grace, I very much hear this as sort of a progression from what singer-songwriters were trying to navigate in terms of developing like a sound that was distinct from the heritage they had sort of pulled in terms of like 1970s, 60s singer-songwriters.
Right.
So trying to be sort of unique within the context of the 90s. And then that progression, by the time we get to what Beck's doing on Sea Change, it feels to me like a generation has transitioned. So
Right.
even though the years that you kind of in the lead up to this talked about, we're navigating what, 8 years?
About 8 years span. Yep.
Yeah, at 8 year, like a less than a decade. I think how much influence explicitly you find on something like Grace, by the time, like I feel Sea Change almost sounds much more contemporary.
It does.
And it's just interesting within that 8 year span, one, how powerful the influence was from whatever the contributions to the 60s and 70s in terms of songwriters and lyricists and so on and so forth, right? Even the cover songs he chooses for.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we get to the end of this conversation with Sea Change, how much has changed within that time span. So I think that was kind of the overarching narrative. We've kind of put these together, at least in my mind, was singer-songwriters from this time period and what separates them and what commonalities they potentially share.
Cool. Maddie, I don't know if you had any thoughts. Do you have any thoughts on that in terms of like when I approached you? Now you've been elusive. Come on, man, come on, because I love you and I have such a bond over music, and I think you would openly say that I've had a pretty big effect on you with regards to that.
Of course, yeah. I even imagine with Euphoria Morning, and though I didn't really get into it properly until I would say honestly the past like 3 or 4 years. Grace, I would say past like 6 or 7 years, kind of like early college days, if not like end of high school. Which the album has it felt like it's been with me for eons, but it's only been.
But these are all albums, by the way, that you heard as a child a lot.
So there's that encoding going on a subconscious level. So I imagine
brainwashing.
Yes, in the best way possible. So then when I did reach for them on my own, divide or whatever, it felt like I don't know, it felt like pure serendipity to like experience that on a subconscious level as a child and then actively seek it out without your like goading. Like I was like, I want to listen to Grace, and I listened to Grace, and it's changed my life. I got it tattooed behind my ear. It's
That's right.
It means it's saved my life time and time again. But yeah, I really liked what you were saying just about how I feel like these albums can kind of allow you to experience your own feeling. Like they're these portals that they provide for you to be able to almost interpret your own emotions, but also in the same breath, you're able to interpret their emotions and where they were coming from at the time, which like further, I don't know, deepens the connection of intimacy with the record. You're like, they're going through it, I'm going through it, but we're going through our own unique experiences that create this just utter humanity that you can hear throughout all the records.
Well, and I think too, another common thread through all three of these albums, if you take the time to either read the lyrics or listen to the lyrics, there's 2 or 3 common threads. One, loss, whether it be love, whether it be loss of self, kind of in a way, or and also trying to just navigate the complexity of how shitty life can actually be when you're really faced with it. You talk about as a kid, you can't really, the emotions on here, and almost every song is about breaking up in one way or another and trying to heal. But you said it very well. It's not a bitter, angsty, fuck you, I hate you, bitch type thing. It's a, man, this hurts.
Right.
And I don't know how to say it hurts other than to say it in a universal way that almost everybody, and I have to preface this a little bit because maybe there are a few people out there that have never experienced love, whether it be from a parent, a grandparent, a child-parent relationship, but more so on the level of this, which is a partner, a lover, a wife, a girlfriend, whatever it is, that boyfriend, whatever whatever your choice is there are some people that have never experienced that, and that's sad to me. I'm going to talk about something that might be pretty heavy at the very end of this album. This album came out right when your mom and I split up. It still hurts. It still is very painful for me. It came out a month after she and I split up, and she took you guys and left after we built that house. And I listened to this album endlessly for months. And I know for a fact, driving around late at night with this on, I probably cried bucketfuls.
Yeah, I mean, I think of this song like Lover, You Should Have Come Over. And, you know, when I was...
Well, I'm talking about this one, but I mean, yeah. So...
Okay. Well,
no. I was trying
acknowledging a connection between
Okay,
that,
go ahead.
You're good.
Sorry.
Go
But
ahead.
I was trying to
Finish your
explain...
thought.
I was trying to explain how when this came out, I connected so deeply with the pain that he had to have been feeling because my life was kind of crumbling around me at that point in time. And I really didn't know if I was going to get out of it. And so this album, the lyrics on some of these songs, I'm going to read some of the lyrics to some of these songs. Man, they are fantastically poetic lyrics. I don't know if you dug that deep, Kellen, but I know you're kind of that guy, so it wouldn't shock me if you did. But man, pain. Now you're right on Buckley, that universal and again, it's the universality of the pain on this album that kind of runs through most of these three albums.
River runs straight through them.
I mean, there's not a lot of breakup songs on the Cornell album, but there are. If you dig deep into the lyrics, there's some pretty intense stuff, which we're also going to get into. So I guess what we should do is probably get rolling on the albums, right?
Yes. I was going to say I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Okay.
You guys feel free to
All right, so we'll get going. So, Kellen, I'm going to let you go. You started to, so we'll kind of get rolling with you on the Beck album. And I think, I'm going to go track by track. You don't have to do that. I've got thoughts on each track. They're fairly concise. But any universal sort of messages and things you want to get out there, if you want to do lyrics too, by all means. And then we'll play Sunday Sun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try and be brief. I know out of respect for time.
For sure. I have lots of time, but I don't want to take your whole night up. So
it's okay. I guess a lot of the comments I'll be making will be comparative since we're kind of doing this with one of the 3 album sort of glimpse. The level of composition in terms of like the orchestration, the instrumentation to this record is probably a standout feature. at least when I put this up against the other two albums we're talking about tonight, this is one that totally survives within the studio, and all the additional sort of choices they make from a producer. I think his father added a lot of the string arrangements. I think Beck's father, I can pull up that information here. To your point, Nigel was the producer for the record, but I think to your point earlier, he did not provide the actual string arrangements.
No, he didn't. That was Dave Williams, I believe.
Yeah.
Who does a lot of string arrangements for film, and he was a top tier guy. I mean, Beck, I don't know what Beck spent on this album, but I guarantee it was probably $500,000.
Well, this had come after a great deal of commercial success throughout the 90s.
Exactly.
So.
Odelay and Loser. Loser was huge on Mellow Gold, and but this album is very, very different than what Beck did prior to this album.
Yeah, it was a dramatic departure based on the kind of sampling and eccentricities that had defined sort of his odd Loser era, right?
Yeah.
Like he was doing alt rock, but it was also this combination of like hip hop sampling and
He also had a bit of beat poet sort of vibes to him, where
sure.
Just LA sleaze kind of weirdly.
It's a total 90s thing for me. Yeah. So but this was like a dramatic departure from that. The overall pacing of the record is very slow.
Yep.
And I think that may come to a lot of people who are considering a singer-songwriter record almost like as a potentially a bit redundant, but I do think it is something to sort of sink into. Most of these songs just kind of like dissolve and wash away. It starts off very slow. There's a lot of sort of sparse acoustic arrangements, but with the additional instruments that on display, I mean, it's pretty exhaustive here. Just looking at a few of the tracks and the number of musicians involved here, you've got things like the glockenspiel, harmonium, Indian banjo. I mean, bamboo saxophone. They really kind of emptied out all the different sort of potential arrangements you could find within a studio, and it brings up to a whole lot of sort of fun sort of textural elements that make this listen, I think, a little bit more engaging than in just sort of a sparse singer-songwriter individual alone by his guitar.
Yeah, just like a Townes Van Zandt with an acoustic or something. Yeah.
Right. Because by comparison, he does not have the vocals, like when we talk about him versus Cornell or Buckley, like
not the same.
It's 100% not the same. He's a great songwriter, but I think with the help of what was happening in the studio, this record really kind of takes on another life.
I agree.
I think other things that I do want to mention, that sort of like the additional instrumentation and overall like character to this record, I think has more in common with what was going to happen over the next few decades with bands coming out on like Sub Pop or Rough Trade, things like that. Where sort of indie rock had sort of developed in the late 90s and was moving towards the 2000s. There's some connective tissue to what is happening on this record. And I think why I listen to it and it feels a little bit more current relative to some of the other bands. I don't think that either Buckley or Cornell's record, that feels to me much more rooted in the decades that preceded it.
I agree.
So
yeah, that's a great point. Specifically with Cornell, it's like you took all those 70s and 80s influences and mixed them into this potpourri. And there's a lot to say about why that is, because he had two huge contributors that helped him produce and write that album. And I don't know if you're familiar with the band 11. Do you know who that is?
No.
All right. So Elaine Johannes and Natasha Schneider were a husband and wife team that were in an alt rock band. I call them an alt rock band called 11. And 11 opened for Soundgarden. And 11 definitely is in that sub pop, weird quasi pop, hard rock, slightly metal thing. And Alain is just this crazy mad scientist of creation, and he had a lot to do with some of these songs that Chris, as far as producing the album, Alain Johannes's fingerprints are all over it. You know, so I'll get deep into that when I talk about Chris's album, because I'm, you know, that's my laser focus, that album in particular. So go ahead on Beck. Let's let me ask you this. So you did say there's kind of like it washes over you and it's a common thread, but I will say that if you listen to this album a couple of times, you're going to get so many. Let me do this. I'm kind of farting around with learning.
Okay. I like being able to see you and talk to you.
I know. Yeah. So, well, when you're hyper focused, but when I'm talking, it's kind of stupid that you're just staring at my voice, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But what I was going to say was that I can tell you right now, I can sing the first 10, maybe even the first 11 songs off this album. Now, have I listened to it a lot? Yes, I've listened to it a lot. But I can tell you right now, if you listen to this album, you're not going to walk away from it and go, man, I don't remember a single thing about it. You're just not. It's just, you're not going to do that. There's earworms on practically every freaking song, even though they do kind of sound like not the same, but they have a very similar thread running through them. Right?
Yeah, there's like a few moments, like just as an example. So Lonesome Tears, right? I think that's a song that you get like where the strings sort of dominate, especially towards the latter portion of that song. It sort of climbs. They become stronger and stronger and stronger as that song progresses.
Builds.
You know, versus the one that, like, Guess I'm Doing Fine, the one that preceded it, is much more stripped down by comparison and much more like straight up out of acoustic. So I don't want to say there aren't any peaks and valleys in terms of the listening experience. And to your point, lyrically, you know, it's not complex. Just as by comparison, Buckley's got like Nina Simone in his back pocket. He's like playing with a very different kind of vocal talent that Beck can't tap into.
Nope.
And it's how the world that's sort of happening around him that keeps you engaged. And some of the songs I don't think are that actually long in terms of like their vocal contribution, meaning like the lyrical content isn't exhaustive. He's not going through reams and reams of papers in terms of lyrics. Sometimes the song that I chose to play here later on, I think is actually a sort of repeated refrain.
It is.
And it's a fun sort of like almost like a Baroque dream pop.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Sort of with
a good dose of psychedelic kind of weirdness going on with the strings.
Sure. There's an Indian banjo that immediately brings like, experimental, whatever, 1970s sort of.
Well, you said the Mega Mouth, which is we didn't know. We thought it was a bullhorn, and we
reached out to the experts before we began.
The Jews harp, but I didn't even know that. I was thinking it was, one of those like a megaphone,
Sure. I looked at Mega Mouth and I was like, a fish popped up. I was like, what in the world is this? So
I know that I went down a little further to find it, but so if you're not going to talk about East Track like I am going to, Maddie, by the way, everybody needs to know that Maddie listened to the wrong Beck album. She listened to Morning Faves. We'll let her chat about it quickly because she took a lot of notes on, but it's kind of not relative, but that's okay.
That's fine.
But
I'll be a student.
But you're right. It's a lot about what the musicality of the songs is going on around the song. I mean, like the Golden Age, okay? I should have brought my guitar. It's just 3 chords. And it's, to some respect, it's fairly repetitive, but it's got that beautiful glockenspiel, man. That just it just sucks you in. You're like, I gotta listen to this, man. It's so beautiful, right? And it's haunting. It's haunting, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's, to your point though, I think this record has some sort of like, I don't want to call it like a soft lighting, right? There's like, so it's a very kind of like dreamy, ethereal, which the other Beck record also features.
Mhm.
right? I think they share that character. So you may have not listened to Sea Change, but the one that, yes, what you listened to,
Very
Maddie,
similar.
yeah, they share the same.
And they always call it the companion. They
Yeah.
call it Sea Change 2.
Right.
Most of the fans, yeah.
Yeah, I think both those records, to your point, they share. So at some point you've tapped into that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say too. You mentioned the glockenspiel on morning phase. There's tons of ethereal bells just like
Same thing.
dancing above the song, which that alone, it like talk about earworms. It's like mind tickles. It just
What's
takes
weird?
you places.
What's weird about that though is if you go and rate your music, which I tend to look at to get some ideas about things and coalesce things because I'm not as smart as Kellen is, so I have to kind of like I no lie. When I read other people's reviews, it's like, oh yeah, I was thinking just that, or it spurs me to come up with some thoughts. And I'm actually going to quote somebody that I saw on Rate Your Music on this album on Sea Change because he nailed exactly what I was thinking and couldn't quite put into words. And you're going to get it right away, Kellen, because you were dancing with the exact same concept. But the thing about this album is it swirls and it just kind of, you just feel like you're in I use this phrase sometimes, but it's very apropos here. And I don't know, I'm not endorsing drug use. Okay. So what I want to say is that when I've had to take painkillers post-surgery or for certain things, and it's a narcotic, it makes you feel very warm and fuzzy. That's why people get addicted to stuff like that. And it makes you really feel like you're floating, like you're drifting. And this album has that feeling, like you're floating and drifting in the music.
For me, it's like what I guess I attach to is like when you can't fully process, when you're like decompartmentalizing of something that's super sad or heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
Like the song opens or the on Golden Age, it begins with him, driving in his car, and it's like he's trying, drive all night just to feel like it's okay.
Yes.
Like where it's like you're numb, right?
Yeah.
You trying to process heartbreak in that sense.
Well, you're trying to drive the pain away, literally.
Sure. You're like going through the motions because you can't quite like that's what I can sometimes feel on this record is a certain kind of distance when you're dealing with it where you haven't fully learned to like accept whatever you're going through. And so you're just kind of sleepwalking through the world, right? Like get up, you go to work, you go like come home from work, you go through your paces, you make like all the little things you do in the course of your day to like remind you that like, yes, I'm still living this life, but you have yet to start to process what it feels like to lose someone like that because every single part of your day was informed with their presence in your life.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that like initially he taps into with that opening line is that kind of like daydreaming.
Well, just real quick, this song, the first time I heard it, I literally was like, I want to drive my fucking car out to a desert where no one is at in the middle of the night, preferably in a convertible, but I didn't own a convertible. So I'll just roll all the windows down. In this
fantasy, you have a convertible. Yes.
In my fantasy, I have a convertible. Yeah. And I want to feel the cool desert air from a hot day where you can feel the heat radiating off the road and the desert sand, but you can feel the cool air kind of coming in over the mountains or the plateaus. And I want to feel that hit me. And that song makes me want to drive all night, another part of the lyric, and just be detached from the rest of the world. I just want to be in that environment. I don't want to know what's going on around me ever at all again. I just want to feel that moment and just stay in that moment. And it's, where he says, let the weight of the world drift away instead. He's just, like you said, he's driving all night to try to just process, but he can't. So he's just going to keep driving. And I know that feeling very well because when I've gone through very difficult parts of my life, through drug withdrawal, through loss. Weirdly enough, man, I get in a car and I drive. No place in particular to go. I just want to drive the fear, the pain, the loss, the melancholy. I want to drive it away. But at the same point in time, I want to bask in it. I want to live in it. I want to feel it. And that's what that song tells me.
Sure. I mean, I think that's 100% probably what people identified with when they heard it. And it was, for his catalog, something very different, right? This isn't
very different. Yes.
Yeah.
Because before we talked about it, he was using sampling and processes, and a lot of his stuff was kind of new modern alternative sort of, right?
Sure. It was like the 90s sort of experimental alt rock thing going on.
Yeah, you get something like, you know, where it's at, and a microphone, where it's at. He's got hip hop, he's got trip hop, he's got all that going on. This album is so far away from that, it's ridiculous, right? And the chorus to Golden Age might be my favorite lyric on the whole thing. These days I barely get by, I don't even try. I think we've all been in that moment. And if you haven't, you're fucking very lucky. That's what I say. I say you're very lucky if you have never experienced a moment where you're like, I don't want to exist, man. This is too much. I can't cope with it. My head can't cope with it. My heart definitely can't cope with it. And my reality can't cope with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I've kind of been. Is there anything else that on your end that you wanted to add into this record?
Well, yeah, I got to talk about some of these songs now. Okay, so, and this will maybe spur some. Again, Maddie didn't listen to this one, so she doesn't have a firm grip on this one. So we'll just let that go. I call this Beck's Nick Drake meets Serge Gainsbourg meets Elliott Smith meets Tim Buckley, another character we're going to talk about in a minute here. The father of Jeff Buckley, and a huge star in the 70s that overdosed and died.
Star adjacent.
Yeah, star adjacent.
He's so close.
Meets Bob Dylan Country Heartache album. That's what I call this. Because it's very, very country-ish at times. Country folk. Let's say folk country. It's not, I got, there's my blue-eyed girl with her straw hat on, and I'm going to take her home, and that kind. It's not that kind of country or America country. It's Hank Williams country. It's the old Waylon Jennings, Willie. You could see Willie Nelson singing a lot of these songs on this album. I could.
Right.
It would work almost perfectly. So, all right. So, the influences are undeniable, but that does not mean that it's a ripoff album by any stretch. Not at all. Yes, there are many direct moments you could point to and say, he pretty much ripped that off from X artist right there, or there. But the musical performances and Beck's really lovely vocals, they're very laconic. You know what that word means.
Yeah.
You know what that word means, laconic?
I don't.
Just kind of lazy and just it's just happening.
Like falling out.
Yeah, you're not excited. I'm definitely not laconic. I am the exact opposite of laconic. I'm amped up and buzzing right from the excitement of it. Laconic is you're just chilled, laid back. Everything's just super chill.
You can hear that in Morning Phase as well.
Yeah, and that's how he sings on these two albums. I own 8 Beck albums, including the Morning Phase and several after this and all the ones before it. And none of those albums come close to touching this album as far as how much I love it and how important it is to me. So this is truly the only, this is kind of a weirder, like if you go back to some of those other stuff, there's like on Midnight Vultures, there's a lot of that weird sampling stuff, and it's almost like hipster type alternative, right? Which I dig some of that, so it's not a big problem there. But this is this one just touches my head and heart the most out of anything that he's ever done. There's such an earthiness and intense melancholy about the album. Some of the songs just take me away to riding down a dark desert highway with a full moon as a cool breeze blows in the window, and I cruise to nowhere nursing an aching heart for Love Lost, or maybe Love That Never Was, that I never understood. Some of the songs ooze sensual darkness and hipster 60s vibes with the orchestration. So we talk about the Golden Age, such a beautiful haunting track. Definitely a Desert Drive song. The ascending chord progression. He goes from E to F minor to A. It's everyone's used that chord progression. Melissa, the song Melissa by the Allman Brothers, kind of the same chord progression almost. But the way Beck infuses it, the glockenspiel we just talked about, amazing. There's some pedal steel. The wow, wow, wow. And pedal steel is one of my favorite fucking instruments in the whole entire world, but I don't like it in a lot of country. I like it in rock, like the Red Sparrows or this album, or when other people use it. I wish I knew how to play. I could probably play it a little bit, but I've never been around one, but I should change that. Definitely one of my favorite songs. Paper Tiger, this has the late 60s, early 70s lounge vibe, 70s cop movie vibe. You can almost hear this song being on a cop movie from the 70s, right? It's funky, it's slinky, it's a little surreal. You got those killer orchestrations, just like a paper tiger. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba-ba. The orchestrations own this song. They're so epic and killer. They're just amazing, right? You got a little bit of the Serge Gainsbourg sound in this. You know Serge Gainsbourg? So there's an album he put out in 73, I believe it was, or 72, called, let me see, you got to check that out. It's called History de Melody Nelson. It's about a girl. It's about a young girl. It's about an older man, like in his 20s, falling in love with a 14-year-old. So, okay, yes, creepy, cringy, yes. But it's a fucking amazing album. It's so good. No way that Beck doesn't know that album. And no way that he didn't channel some of, I'm going to say it wrong, Serge Gainsbourg. I think it's Serge Gainsbourg, but I can't speak French, so there you go. Man, so good. Killer orchestrations. Guess I'm Doing Fine. Such a beautiful melody, great lyrics, very countryish. A high point on the album for me because it's just downbeat. It's acoustic and mellow, and it's got sort of an apathy to it, you know?
It's very stripped back, yeah.
Yeah, sure. And it's like, you know, just a great chorus. Guess I'm doing fine. Just beautiful, right? Lonesome Tears, man. We talked about that. Another one where the orchestrations are fucking amazing. They're just so, they swell at the end in particular, man. They just swell. And when they swell, they just kind of dominate the song, but they're exactly what you want to hear. Once you hear it, you're like, all right, I never want to hear this song without that. Right? For sure. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's interesting about it, though, is like it also kind of washes out in distortion. So you get this like big, like the symphony just kind of opens up. And then at the end, you realize, you know, it's sort of this dream. And then just sort of like the static comes in and the song fades out.
Right. So. That's right. That static at the end, it's almost like it's disintegrating. The song's disintegrating. Sure. Super cool. And Lonesome Tears, I said the other highly chamber pop, orchestrated chamber pop, almost sort of a 70s cinema vibe to this song. And having, you know, you two guys don't have the benefit of growing up in the 70s like I did as a kid. And it was funny because you said you were 10 when the Buckley album came out. Yeah. Maddie was -3. And then, but you were alive. You were 2 when Cornell came out, and you were about 5 when this album came out. So, you know, I know you listen to this, and I know you listen to the Cornell quite a bit. Of course, Buckley's, you know, foregone. I'm almost there. The lyrics are direct and hard hitting, and it's less sexy and salty than, say, Paper Tiger, which is good. Too many of the songs like Paper Tiger on there wouldn't have worked. If it was a whole album of that, it would have been almost too many, right? So we get like 3 that are highly orchestrated, and that's just perfect. And the whole the aesthetic of the album, it would have killed the aesthetic of the album for me, to be honest. The chorus is super killer, and where the orchestra leads the chorus, it hits really hard, and you get that swirling synthy harmonium thing. I'm not sure what it is in the background. and you get how could this love never turn its eye on me. I'm not great. I get it.
It's a requirement for every Jeff stream. At some point, and
you're gonna get Jeff singing a couple of these songs. This is how it goes. It's so good, man, because it transitions from the verse, which is lonesome tears that I cried, and it's super like laconic, and then that chorus comes in. It's just like boom, it punches you right in the face, and you're like, wow, like so good. Lost Cause, beautiful song, man.
I think that was the lead single for this album as well.
I didn't look that up, and I should have, but I think you're right. Yeah.
Which is, and I think there's a music video, and it's
really,
yes, there's and it's this like sad. I don't know what it is, but it's like a descending from the sky, and as it falls, parts of it just start to disintegrate and fall off before it hits the earth.
I never saw that.
A very. I mean, it probably costs $5 to shoot.
I'll watch it.
But it just like this thing falling from the sky, then slowly falling apart kind of deal.
So the Lonesome Lost Cause, probably the purest sad song on the album, but it's such a gorgeous melody. Lots of cool studio trickery. The glockenspiel comes back again. It's got a countryish beautifulness to it, and it's like, tired of fighting for a lost cause. Tired of fighting says it for all. That line, tired of fighting for a lost cause, where he sings that is just so cool. Again, 60s, 70s vibe, but yet also very much a country folk vibe. The verses are the highlight of the song for me. The lyrics on this song are so amazing. I'm sorry, wait a minute. I think I jumped out of the line. Yeah, the end of the day. Again, this is very laconic, very early 70s vibe, very much a country folk vibe to it. The lyrics are incredible. I've seen the end of the day come too soon, like the prison dogs. They set out after you. You owe nothing to the past but wasted time. That's an incredible line to me. You owe nothing to the past but wasted time. In other words, living in the past is not going to get you moving forward, right? And then to serve a sentence, it goes, you owe nothing to the past but wasted time to serve a sentence that was only in your mind. Man, dude, that is so, to me, that is such a poetic, hard-hitting lyric. Like, it's like you imprison yourself with the things that you constantly ruminate on or let attack you or let destroy you and bring you down. That I love the end of the day is
right. I was going to say though, like, just like Maddie probably, I don't know when you really first latched on to Buckley, but when you hear like a great, lyric or line like that, for me on this record, I'm trying to parse out what that means within the confines of your relationship, right? Like, what does that mean for me as a person?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the cool things is like, I did not know when I first heard this record, like Jeff's talking about it now, but how you interpret something like that at different points of your life is one of the things that when I go back and listen to this record, I kind of navigate.
Yeah.
It's very difficult as a teenager to understand what that means.
Yeah.
And
you're right. This would be an almost impossible album for a teenager to get their head around, I think.
Right.
But I think on some subconscious level, there's probably that, like, I don't know, that little twinkle of like, I feel that. I think I feel that.
Yes.
And then lo and behold, as you reach your 20s and 30s or whatever, you hear that back and you're like, I certainly did. And I certainly do feel that. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
The more I think about this, probably is my favorite song on the album because the way he sings that line, I've seen the end of the day come too soon, like the prison dogs, they set out after you. And then when he goes into the part where it's nothing I haven't seen before, but it still kills me like it did before. No, it's nothing I haven't seen before, but it still kills me like it did before. It's just that line is so this lyrically, this song just, when I would hear this when your mom and I were splitting up, it would just fucking break me, man. It just would break me. Well, a little better now, although that did hit me hard a minute ago. But this song is so freaking beautiful, man. Just the construction of it. And this one here, again, to your point, Kellen, it's very ingrained. The arrangement of the song and what's going on instrumentation wise, pivotal to making this song just so amazing. It's, just so good. It's All in Your Mind. Beautiful, painful acoustic ballad, gorgeous melody. Round the Bend, swirling strings, heartbreaking cinematic. This song, Round the Bend, reminds me so much of Nick Drake. His vocal sounds so much like Nick Drake. You could just pull this right off Pink Moon, like Road, the song Road, or maybe Brighter Later, that album where it was highly orchestrated, the one Nick Drake that had a lot of orchestra. This song owes everything to that album to me. It's another one. This sounds like it came out of a 1973 soundtrack to a movie. You know what I mean? It's just that perfect. So, Already Dead, such a lazy, gorgeous pop folk track. Again, Beck's voice is perfect for this. And this one, again, has very many Nick Drake-isms. The lyrics on this one is great. Time wears away all the pleasures of the day, all the treasures you could hold. Days turn to sand, losing strength in every hand. They can't hold you anymore. Already dead to me now, because it feels like I'm watching something die. It's just, he's talking about his relationship with his wife, or I think it was his fiance, I believe, right? And he's trying to process and grieve something he doesn't even fully understand. Like, why does this hurt this much? Why did this end like this? And I can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? It's just heartbreaking. Sunday Sun, the song we're going to play right now. Man, God, what a fucking amazing song. It's the one song on the album that's kind of different than the rest of the songs. It's got a different vibe to it. It's almost upbeat. It's almost sunny. And that's the weird thing about this album too. All these songs are melancholic as hell, but they're uplifting melancholy. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't think it is. It shouldn't be. But it's almost like these are sunny, melancholic tracks.
Right. Like you put this and you compare this to something like The Cure's Pornography or something like that.
Oh my God.
Which is like a very dark record.
Fucking super dark.
It's so dark. It's just dealing with, it's a sad record, but I think part of there's a sort of, to my point about like this sort of soft lighting or like everything is just sort of, there's a haze over it.
Yes.
And I think that makes it a little bit more tolerable, is just this kind of dream state. And so, to your point, it is that, like, I keep bringing up this kind of like pop warmth kind of orchestration to it. It's not closed all, the windows are open in the home.
Yeah.
You are out on the road.
Yeah, so maybe like it's almost like you're sitting out on the deck with a good cup of coffee or a glass of wine, and the sun is fading and ready to set, but you're looking ahead and you're going, man, I feel horrible, but I know I'm going to be all right.
Right. I think it's interesting that you give it a actual a geography when you're talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's interesting, because to have it be like what do you want to say, the eastern portion of California. I think he's based in Anaheim, but it's like if you've been to California, you've got like the mountains really divide the state.
Yes,
and once you get to the eastern part of the state and move towards the desert, it's kind of surreal. The desert's known for that a little bit. So
Joshua Tree, Death Valley. I mean, there's parts of California that are some of the hottest in record ever, and this just has that. The album just feels like you're drifting through it
for sure,
and it's an extremely pleasant experience, even though if you're really listening to the lyrics, it's super fucking bummer. It's a super bummer,
Well, I would say even the title of the album alone suggests that sort of consistency of the sea, where it's like 1 minute you're rocking and rolling in a storm, and then the next minute, the calm before and or after the storm, it's like where did I just go and where am I going next?
Yeah, you're getting into a metaphor there, but you know what sea change means, though?
Oh, no.
A sea change means you've had a major change. That something's very different.
Oh, okay.
And that correlates to not only the music on here, which is not at all like most of what Beck does, because even Loser, it's acoustic, but it's bow 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 bow. Because I'm a loser, baby. It's just this hipster punk song in a weird way, an acoustic punk song, right?
Sure. It's a bunch of different sort of genre, sort of
mashup
going on.
Mashup. He's a mashup artist in a lot of ways. He's not mashing up on this.
I interrupted your track listing though. You were going through.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Little One is where, quite frankly, if I had sequenced this album, I would have ended on Sunday Sun and put Little One up in the upper section. I have to be honest, Side of the Road, they could have left it off the album. It's my one track I'm kind of about. It's kind of seems like almost a throwaway at the end, to be honest with you. But Little One is a fantastic track. It's just, I think I would have switched. I'd either done one of two things if this was my album. And I'm going to have the same criticism about Cornell's album, too. I think Buckley ends on the fucking banger of the bunch. So that one I have no problem with. But this album, I think, should have ended on either Lonesome Tears with that crazy build, and then the static and the silence, or it should have ended with Sunday Sun. One of those two tracks, flip it with Little One. I think it's a perfect album. As it is, I'd probably give it like a 9.75 out of 10. I mean, we're not going to do the thing like you guys do in the album club where you talk about production. Let's just say the production on here is fucking amazing. That's all I got to say, right?
Sure. For an early 2000s pop record, I think it, yeah.
And there's still, I don't know if this is still analog tape here. I don't think this is digital yet.
It did get also a mobile fidelity repress. So
okay,
there is a very sort of high quality, whatever, audio file.
Oh God, I bet you that thing's not cheap too.
Yeah.
They're never cheap anyways, but you're always talking what, $75, $80 to start with, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredibly well produced record.
Yes, it's incredible. It sounds, it's ear candy, dude. It's ear candy, right? And I have no problem saying I love the Bee Gees, and I love that 70s pop. And you could almost throw this in there and not think, oh, I mean, yes, does it sound like it's 2002? Yeah, but it also very much sounds like it's 1972.
Right. It turned me on to Pink Moon. So
wow.
if that's
nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Which Nick Drake would have fit in this too. I didn't even think that'd be. Go watch the Nick Drake thing if you're watching this, guys.
Yes, there's a Maddie, Lauren, and Jeff all put together
and Justin from Vestibon's Blood Box. Justin,
okay.
Remember Justin?
Yeah, for sure.
Who, by the way, is one hell of a goddamn good musician, man. That dude is really talented. What a voice on that guy, man. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, I'll put a link in the description. I didn't do that, but I will do that. So conclusion, not to get too personal here, but this album came out about 2 years before myself and Maddie's. Like, we didn't split up in 2002. We split up in 2004. So it was out 2 years. But when we did split up, man, I dove into this album super freaking hard. And I want to read this thing. Where it is. Here it is. This album has a weird quality, making the most painful and terrible moments in my life feel strangely beautiful and comforting, oddly. This album always makes me feel like life's going to be okay, even in the most desperate and hopeless times. I've heard people call this CD or this album sad boy indie folk. And I guess that's not even wrong, but that is, but if that's accurate, then I'm good with being a sad boy, emo, indie folk lover, because I'm totally fucking fine with it. I fucking love this album. It's beautifully heartbreaking. It's beautifully heartbreaking, and reminds me how much humanity I still have left in me when sometimes I feel like I'm the Walking Dead. I mean every word of what I just said there. Every word. And you guys know, you two know, I'm dealing with some really fucked up health stuff. This album made me feel so good listening to it the last couple days. It just made me feel like it's okay, man. Whatever happens, it's okay. So Beck, I love you, buddy. That fucking awesome album. If you were to give this a ranking, Kellen,
how many records like take you back to feeling 17 again? You know,
so good.
Yeah, like that's kind of not something that you can quantify, right? And I, in some ways, like I'll go back and I revisit this, and I just reflect on, what I was feeling at that point in my life, just trying to mature into some level of understanding about who I was and things I wanted from myself. Those things are kind of like I feel a certain degree of innocence when I go back and I think about that.
Absolutely.
So, it's a record that's kind of, I've memorized it. And I go back and it's just one of those things you don't have to necessarily think about and just kind of experience again and and be happy that there's so many things that you still have.
Sorry about that. I didn't know it was
okay. It's okay.
I didn't know
we're getting ready for music time.
Yeah, we're gonna do some music. Oh, here we go. All right, we can do that. We can be up. So, all right, we're gonna do a Sunday Sun, which is track number 10, I believe, and we'll play the whole thing and cross our fingers we don't get kicked off. All right, we ready to go? The only thing I'm gonna ask is, Kellen, mute yourself on your end, but don't forget to come back. I'm gonna mute myself on my end. We're gonna go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready?
How to use AutoQuote Explorer. First, start a quote.
Haven't got a lot to learn, and my eyes, they stray again, looking for a satellite in the waves of heaven again. There's no other ending, Sunday sun. Yesterday's are ending, Sunday sun. Jealous minds walking a line, and their faces jade the strain. Stranded in infinity rooms, and they're safe from any harm. There's no other ending, Sunday sun. Yesterday's are ending, Sunday sun.
All
Are we
right.
good?
Wow. I screwed one thing up. I didn't turn off the echo cancellation. So the first part of the song might have a little bit of a weird far away sound to it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. Now I remembered it halfway through the song. I'm like, shit. You know what I forgot about the end of that song? I forgot the end how it just collapses into this mess almost,
Sure.
right? You know? But that piano thing, that dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 and then you got the bass going boom, boom,
Yeah, yeah.
and then it's so cool. It's so fucking cool, man.
Right.
Maddie's like, oh, I remember this now, Dad. I'm like, there you go. So any quick thoughts?
Well, I was just going to say, even in that song we just listened to, you can hear very synonymous like chord choices, these very curious chord choices between Beck's, Cornell's, and Buckley's, where you're like, it's just that sort of ominous yet optimistic choice that of the trajectory of where they go in terms
and that
of
particular
the
song right there had a lot of Arabic scalar stuff going on. You could hear a sitar in there. I think there's an oud or a, like whatever. There's a couple different stringed instruments in there that bring it a different kind of vibe to it. So if you listen to that song and you dug it, you're gonna fucking love the rest of this album, man. Because while that is a high point, I won't deny it. The Sunday Sun's a high point. Lonesome Tear, every one of these songs is great, man. I mean, and James brought up Scott Walker. Great deep dive there, or deep reach there, James. Scott Walker, definitely Scott Walkerisms on this. Yes. So
the reason I chose that song, though, is I think, you know, the strength of this record is all the different instruments involved and the vibe,
100%.
right? Where I think some of the choices you'll probably choose later on, I mean, we're about to hear from two monster vocalists.
Yeah, monster. Monster is an understatement in some ways. So let's get moving on to those, because I don't want to keep you all night. So, but we talked a little too much at the beginning, but this was the first episode, so it's probably going to be a 2-hour deal. I'm sorry, man, but I
gotta be somewhere at 7. But
okay, you're good then. So what time is it? You got 5. We're good. So
are you in the same time zone as us?
Yeah.
East Coast. Yeah.
Okay, we're
when do you got to leave to get there?
Just no. Like I have I'm talking to my people.
Oh, okay. All right, we're good then.
I don't have to physically move somewhere.
We got plenty of time then. Okay,
I have loved ones who would also like to say hello. So
all right, yes. Who's that?
I just family and stuff like that. So
yeah, for sure. And we gotta go grab a bite, and we're gonna be at fireworks at 8:30. So we're cool. All right, so let's move on to final thoughts on this. Just go buy the fucking album, man. It's so good. Just don't argue with us. It's just incredible. So, and please, Beck, take your money. I'm totally cool with it, but just don't kick me off.
You're
the
like
stream.
Worth every penny.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right. So the next album we're gonna do, which I can't find copies of either of these albums. I own them. I've owned them since they were released. I lied. That's a lie. I've owned the Cornell since it was released, but the Buckley I didn't get hip to, and we'll get into that story when we get to Buckley, until about 2000. So I was a few years past, and I would dare I say that a lot of people that love Jeff Buckley were not hip to Jeff Buckley when Jeff Buckley was happening.
If you were like the lucky few in that area of Greenwich Village
in New York. If you saw him at Club Chenet or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But most people did not have any clue who Buckley was until generally after his death. I hate to say, it's just how it worked out. And I got hip to Buckley. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's get to Chris Cornell, and I'll real quick do a show the album deal here.
Drink too much water.
And I will say that I have some interesting quick anecdotal stories about Chris Cornell. I first heard Chris Cornell when he was obviously in Soundgarden, and I heard the album Loud Love. I heard the song Outshine, or no, I'm sorry, Hands All Over. Yes, Hands All Over. And was there one other? Was Outshine on that album? I think it was, right?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the track listing right now, see if we can get some cross reference there.
Yeah, I think it was. And of course, when they did Big Dumb Sex, I freaking love that chorus. I wanna fuck you. They got a lot more deeper lyrically after after that. But that was their pastiche and homage to fucking Spinal Tap, basically, because they actually did Big Bottoms live when I saw them. So I saw this, and I think Marty saw this show as well, and we often talk about it. Here I am. I'm here. Sorry. Took me a minute. So here's the album. If you've never seen the cover, which I used for the artwork a little bit. I think I did a killer job on that thumbnail, man. That thing looks pretty badass. And by the way, I didn't mention this, and I forgot I had this up, but I learned how to do the scrolling thing at the bottom there. And guys, I have a cool ass T-shirt. Kellen, I think you own one of these T-shirts.
Yeah. I have a
Maddie doesn't own one because I unfortunately sold it.
Oh no!
I have to reorder these. Guys, order a T-shirt. They're cheap. Go to that link. They're $25 shipped. I mean, that's cheap, believe it or not. And I want to give some of the business to Marty Worm, our buddy from Heavy Metallurgy, and castmate with Kellen for the say the title of the thing.
Just the album club?
The album club, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought there was a dissect thing in there. It wasn't dissect used to be in there?
I think it just sometimes I'll put in that description, but I think it's just Heavy Metallurgy Album Club. So
okay. So yeah, Marty does the printing on the shirt. It's a 2-sided shirt. You can go to that link. You can see it. I should have had one here with me, but I don't have it.
The artwork is fantastic.
The artwork was done by Lee G at Heavy Art Talk.
Who's awesome. Amazing artist. It's double-sided, man. It's killer. And I used to say a tag phrase. Sorry to Tim. Is it Tim? Yeah, Tim from Canada. He's the one that gave me that where music melts your mind, but I always forget to say it. So buy the shirt, and it says it on the back. It's got a cool dragon on the front. I mean, how about it, Kellen? Talk about that shirt. Yeah. I mean, if you have not seen Lee's artwork, he's an exceptional talent, and
mind blowing.
So cool that he was able to contribute to Jeff's T-shirt. And
and like I said on the back, music melts your mind, and there's a hand grenade and a gas mask. Yeah, imagine that, a gas mask and a hand grenade. It's a wicked shirt, and Marty did a killer job. So I have to order some more. So get me some orders so I can order some and give Marty some business. All right. I don't make much money off these shirts, guys. I'm being honest. And I never ever say things like, by the way, I have super chats, because nobody ever gives them to me, but I have super chats. So anyway, I'm shilling here. Outshine was on Bad Motor Finger, right?
Yeah.
So it was Hands All Over. What was the other track on there? Read that track listing quick.
Okay. Bad Motor Finger, track listing.
No, not Bad Motor Finger, on Loud Love. Sorry.
Loud Love. I'm sorry. Okay. Pull up here for you. Ugly Truth, Hands All Over, Gun, Power Trip, Get on the Snake, full of Kevin's mom.
Full on Kevin's mom.
Yeah. Loud Love, I Awake, No Wrong, No Right, Uncovered, Big Dumb Sex, and then
Yeah. So Hands All Over was their first video, I believe. I don't know if they did one for Ultra Mega OK, but the minute I heard Chris Cornell's voice, I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like, is that real? And this was in the day before Auto-Tune and Melodyne, probably, and those software programs. This is 1989, I believe that album came out. Am I right?
Yeah, I want to say that's right. 89. Yeah.
Yeah, 89. And I saw Voivod, Soundgarden, and Faith No More. And Faith No More hadn't exploded because they just gotten Mike Patton in for The Real Thing, and they had just released The Real Thing, and they had yet to Epic had yet to explode all over MTV. And what was the other song? Falling in Pieces, or I forget the other song that was big on there. Yeah.
It was the two singles that came from were Hands All Over and Loud Love.
No, I'm talking about Faith No More.
Oh, I don't.
For The Real Thing.
Yeah.
I think it was Fall to Pieces or something in Pieces, and then the other one was Epic. Nobody knew who the fuck they were. I walked up to the bar when I got there, and freaking Billy Gould was standing next to me, and we're talking. He goes, "Hey, you want a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I had no idea. And then Snake walks up and starts talking to Billy. I'm like, "You know that guy?" He's like, "Well, we're out on tour with him." I'm like, "Wait, you're in a band?" I didn't know him. Nobody knew of him, right? But now I knew of Soundgarden, and I'm going to tell you straight up, I know you're not a huge Voivod guy. I know we've been trying to get you there.
We're trying.
We're trying. And I understand it. Very difficult band to, if you don't get it, it's hard to get it. But I love them, and I was so into Nothing Face. Soundgarden fucking wasted everybody there. Just destroyed everybody. Chris Cornell was unbelievable, like just unreal. Anyway, after the show, I go backstage because nobody stopped me, and I'm hanging out with Chris Cornell and Kim Thiel, and Kim pours a beer on me. Chris was definitely stoned. I'm pretty sure he was high because he just had that vibe to him. He was cool, but he was out there, right? And then I got to see Soundgarden with Tad and 11 for the Super Unknown tour when they exploded and Black Hole Sun got giant. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. I love Soundgarden, man. I love that band super intensely. Them and Alice are the two bands from the grunge movement that the rest could go away and I wouldn't care about. I would not want to lose those two bands because I think they're special, beyond special. Soundgarden with Chris, both bands having stunning goddamn vocalists, right? Okay, both bands, right? Very different, but amazing. So long story short, I got to see Chris Cornell solo in 2008, and it was an insane show at the what's now the Nevermore Hall or whatever the one we just saw people at Maryland Death Fest. It used to be Ram's Head Live. Place was so packed you couldn't freaking move. There was probably 2,500 people there, and that was for his third album, I believe. But I did not get to talk to him afterwards. I waited for a little while, but I you know, because everybody knows I'm a band whore guy. I like to stick around and try to meet the guys. But he was absolutely amazing, man. And he did a lot of songs off this album that we're going to talk about. So Morning Euphoria comes out September 21st, 1999, recorded between 98 and 99 at 11AD Studios in Los Angeles. 11AD Studios was, now we're going to talk about it quick, Elaine Johannes and Natasha Snyder. They were married. They were a couple, and they had a trio band called 11. The drummer of that band, Jack Irons, used to be in Pearl Jam before Pearl Jam got signed. So, you know, all that sort of incestuous band member stuff was going on. The band 11, especially, I only own the self-titled album, but it's absolutely killer. And you can definitely hear the effect that those two had on the songwriting. And they get partial credit on at least 4 or 5 songs. And we'll talk about that. So, again, the producers are Chris, Natasha Snyder, and Elaine Johannes. On August 14, 2015, Euphoria Morning, almost said Morning Euphoria again, was reissued or re-released on CD and vinyl with a modified title, Euphoria Morning with the MOURNING, as Chris had originally intended. I think we'll go first, let you go last on this one. Is that all right?
Perfect.
All right. So, Can't Change Me, first single off the album. As a Soundgarden fan, I was like, whoa, it's not like heavy metal. And I do think Soundgarden is a metal band, but they're an avant-garde metal band to me. And I don't really, the term grunge, everybody gets worked up about it. They were so much more than grunge. So much more than grunge. I hate to admit I am not a Nirvana guy. Never was, never really will be. I understand what their cultural importance was, but Kurt couldn't write a song remotely as good as most Soundgarden songs. That's my opinion. I just feel strongly about that. And for me, I was shocked with Can't Change Me. I was like, whoa. And it was an MTV video. Funky, psychedelic. I dare you to listen to this song, not have the chorus stick in your head. It's got the Arabic scaling stuff. It's got the sitar thing going on. Bow down, 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 down. And Chris is, I mean, it's a killer track. No metal in sight on this song. It's alternative rock if you want to go there. You can hear the 70s vibes in it, maybe a little bit of 80s vibes in it, but there's no real metal in this song. It's very alt rock, right? And the chorus is, wait just 1 minute more, I can see that she's trying to leave me. Suddenly I know she's going to change. I'm not even going to try to sing like Chris, although I might attempt, okay? I'm just going to say I might on one of the songs.
It's all good. It's all good. If we get to Corpus Christi Carol and you pull that one off,
oh no, I can't do that. No, not even close. No. I can sing a little bit of Buckley when he's down here, not when he's up there. No fucking way, man. I'm not even gonna try. Although if I had a few beers in me, I'd definitely try. All right, so next song is Flutter Girl. Man, another alt rocky, weird shape shifting kind of track that has a lot of unusual instrumentation. No metal in sight on this one. Is it rock? Yeah. Is it pop? Yeah. I hear a lot of Beatles in many of these songs on this album, oddly. But then if you really look into Chris Cornell, he was a massive Beatles fan, so not really a big shocker, right? Flutter Girl is just super cool, man. I was kind of surprised that they didn't issue that as a second single and went with this song that I'm going to talk about next instead. But Flutter Girl, love it. But there's some songs coming up here that are fucking mind-blowing, man. And the first one of that is Preaching the End of the World. Jesus Christ, man. This song is just fucking badass from start to finish, man. What a tour de force. And it was the second single, which I don't remember, but with just a monster track that, to me, this track or one other should have been the last song on the album. It just should have been the last song on the album. For so many reasons that I don't even know if I can, without talking for an hour, I don't know if I can even like put it into words. This album as a whole has a very gospel bluesish feeling a lot of the time, which is not something that Chris is known for in Soundgarden. I dare you to find me a blues song. Okay, there might be one on Ultra Mega OK, but that's about it, man. Like, Soundgarden does not trade in blues licks. This album, very bluesy, but in a very definitively unusual way. This is not like, I come on in my kitchen because I'm going to be raining outdoors. Bow, bow, bow. It's not that kind of blues. It's soulful. It's gospel. It's deep, man. It's deep instrumentation with lots of shit going on. And this track in particular is just so beautiful. His voice is at its most ethereal and crushing at the same time. When he's doing the verse and he's talking about, I thought I had the lyrics up here. Where did I do with them? Hold on.
I have one for you if you're.
Yeah, dude, pull that up.
The one that really spoke to me in that song is "We could share in every moment as it breaks."
Yeah, we could share in every
It's
moment
just that
as
one,
it
though.
breaks.
But I can pull up the.
But when he said, oh, okay, yeah, pull up the lyrics real quick.
Yeah.
I gotta sing a little bit of it, Kellen. I'm sorry, I've got to.
Oh, good.
It is my favorite song on the album, although the one after it,
You just
I'm
scroll
sorry, not the
through.
one after it. All right, so when he sings that line, "Hello, I know there's someone out there," it's almost like that's a Beatles line almost,
Right,
a
right.
lyrical melody line. Who can understand? Okay, um, I'm trying to remember how it goes now. I confused myself. Cause all is lost and all, but there's nothing less for us to say. But now I know that oh fuck, where'd it go? I'm lost in the lyrics here. So
What part are you looking for? Are
where's it at?
you looking for the chorus?
Yeah, where's the chorus? It doesn't show the chorus separated. It's all together there. It's running in my head now. I'm mixing up other lines there.
Here's the. I'm
Yeah,
seeking a friend for the
call me now. It's all right. It's just the end of the world.
Yeah.
You need a friend in this world. It's like fucking epic, man. That chorus is so crazy good.
Yeah, that's the first time on this record where I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
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 There's the vocals that I remember. Like, so I don't want to interrupt you kind of talking about it, but
Go.
when I get a chance to talk about this, there's a moment where I'm like, there is a vocalist hiding behind this person that's showed up for the first two tracks.
Yeah,
Like,
he doesn't flex that muscle in the first two tracks.
Yes. So it just feels like we kind of kept this powerhouse, this supercar driving down the neighborhood, smiling, waving, and then
the Ferrari was in the garage.
And then he gets to that chorus, and you're like, oh, he just opens up.
But the crazy part about this song is how the verse is so drifty and ethereal, and he does that. Hello, I know there's someone out there who can understand that I feel the same as me. And it's got that little it's like a telephone delay effect on certain parts of his voice. Fucking genius, dude. Like that way, he was doing that before Steven Wilson was doing that. I'm telling you straight up. Steven stole that maybe from him. Well, maybe he didn't. No. Nah, Steven might have had that on Signify, which was 96. But man, dude, when he gets to that chorus, you're just like,
which I feel like the first two songs, it's building investment. So by the time, and curiosity. So by the time that chorus hits, you're like, holy shit. Like, in the best way, it's like taking you, like for me, this record is such a storytelling record. It feels like has a clear line, and yet it goes so many places along the path. And yeah,
I think the first two tracks were kind of to me, the clear-cut singles.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it was surprising to me when I looked this up that they didn't use Flutter Girl as the second single.
Sure. Or he probably wanted to do. I want to step away. So
I got you. Okay, I'll finish up and then let Maddie go and then let you go. So, all right. So that song, fucking mind blowing, man. Just mind blowing song. My favorite on the album, but there's two others that are on any given day might be the ones too. Follow My Way could also be the closer, man. This is another one, dude, where he unleashes, man. He just unleashes on the chorus, man, where he just is like, pull that one up real quick, because it's just, the chorus is fucking monolithic and so intense, man. And he just shows that crazy range of Robert Plant in his best days in the early days. But I know you're a giant Plant fan, and so am I.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Chris Cornell is better. I just do. I think he's a better vocalist overall. That's just me. You probably don't think that, but maybe not.
For me, I think it's kind of relative to the genre.
Right.
And yeah.
He's got that on Follow My Way. He's got that bluesy rasp going, man. Where he's doing the how's the beginning of it go?
Little one, don't be a fool.
Little one, don't be a fool. Follow my way. When he does that, man, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Like it's like he's kicking you in the face going, I dare you to even try to sing that, Jeff. And Jeff just tried, and it was pretty rough. But yeah, it's so killer, man. Follow My Way is just, he's got that croon like with Janis Joplin's sort of raspy croon, that bluesy thing. But man, when he gets into that chorus, just monstrous. I could have seen the album ending on this track as well. When I'm Down, super bluesy, super gospel, man. Like da, 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 da. Almost like a lounge singer song, almost like, right? Like you could almost see him smoking.
This to me is 100% a gospel track.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, man. And I will say that song, without question, Natasha Snyder had a lot to do with that song, man. She's a co-writer, and you can hear it in the keyboards and all that stuff. And then we got Wave Goodbye, funky, soulful, great song. Probably my least favorite song on the album, though, is probably this song. I like it. It's the one song that's kind of like, I'm like, all right, I could do without that one. Moonchild, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good. Another huge favorite. Dark and subtly menacing, despite its kind of bluesy, laconic, I'm using that word a lot, drifting along verse. The verse is kind of almost da 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 da, and then you get into the hello moonchild. Da, 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 da. It's like, and I don't know the lyrics, unfortunately. Yeah, but if it was playing, I would be able to sing it all. But I kind of forget stuff pretty easily now. But Chris's range is insane on this song, man. It's just meteoric, man. It's just so good. And I will say that this was kind of the sweet spot in his career from Loud Love through probably, I'm gonna say, what was the last Soundgarden album? Down on the Upside, I think it was, and also including the Audio Slave stuff, which he's fantastic on. Not a huge Audio Slave fan, but he's killer on that stuff, right? All right, so Moonchild, amazing. And then it goes into this almost full acoustic track, right? Sweet Euphoria is dark. It's a ballad. Chris, I don't think people understand just how integral Chris's contributions to Soundgarden was. He was the primary writer of a lot of their songs. Kim would come in and drop in one or two tracks, but Cornell was the primary songwriter. And Chris always messed around with alternate tunings and, just this song is so beautiful, man. It reminds me a little bit of like Seasons. I don't know if you know that song, Kellen. Do you know Seasons from you got to check that song out. Seasons coming down. It's the weirdest tuning. It's like he tunes every string down to one note except for the A string, I think. And it's this weird, super cool track. There might be two strings in there that are detuned, but it was on the Singles. You ever see the movie Singles? The Cameron Crowe movie about Seattle?
No, I see that referenced in the notes that when we were looking prior.
Dude, you got to watch that movie because it's got so many killer tracks that bands, like it's got fucking Birth Ritual on there from Soundgarden, which wasn't released until much later on a comp. Birth Ritual might be the greatest Soundgarden song you're ever going to hear. It's so goddamn good, man. But Sun Shower, have you ever heard the Sun Shower song from that's from Great Expectations, the movie?
I may have, but because I've seen that movie, but I don't remember it.
Sweet Euphoria is in that trio of songs. And man, like when he sings this, Sweet Euphoria, da, 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 it's just so fucking killer, man. Great song, one of my favorites. Disappearing Ones is really weird because it starts out with the reed instruments and like keys and stuff, and I think Natasha had a lot to do with that. This almost has a Bob Dylan-esque soulful sort of vibe to it. The Hammond organ's really cool. It's kind of the oddball track on the album that doesn't. I used to skip it at one point, but now I really like Disappearing One. So, and then we get to the trio of favorite songs, man. Pillow of My Bones. Just another crushing chorus. Darkly Intoxicating. Get that one up real quick. I might try this one real fast. But then I swear we're done. Although Steel Rain does that. Steel Rain, Steel Rain. Where's the chorus? Where's it say? Yeah, I'm not. Usually I remember this stuff, but that one's on a pillow of your bones. I will lay across the stone. Do you remember that one?
I mean, like, I remember it per. Yeah, but I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm
sing it
blanking
right
on.
now.
I'm blanking on how that goes, even though it's my third favorite song, because I get all these songs in my head and then I start getting confused. Pillow of my. No, I know. The pillow of my bones. He just rasps that things out. It's just so good. And then Steel Rain. It's a gorgeous track. I wish it wouldn't have been the closer. I get it. It's kind of the progressive long song, and it gets really weird at the end because it kind of gets into a raga, almost like an Indian sort of thing. And I know Elaine had a lot to do with that. There's no doubt Elaine had a lot to do with that song. In fact, wouldn't shock me at all if he wrote that last section completely with Chris. I love the song. Don't get me wrong. It's got a beautiful chorus. I just feel like Pillow on My Bones or Preaching the End of the World or Follow My Way. Those three were the ones I would have been like, fucking in this album on a goddamn face-kicking. You guys know what curb stomping is from the movie with Ed Norton, the white supremacist movie? What's it called? Something X?
Yes, yeah, I think it's called Generation X.
Generation X, yeah. And they curb stomp that guy at the end where they put his mouth on there. All right, that's the song I wanted as the end track on this song, on this album. Excuse me. So, all right, I'm going to shut the hell up and let Maddie talk about it. So go ahead.
So I definitely share a lot of similar notes as what you shared. All right. So I'm going to just go by song as well. Can't Change Me. I said I love the chorus on this one. For me, because, it says she can't change me, using she pronouns. If I feel like he's talking to me, it's very invigorating and despairing in the same breath. And the drums are really impactful on this one. I quite like the drums on that song. Flutter Girl. I love the tremolo guitar on this one. The chorus is so dense with sonic information and absolutely love that. And I just have guitar solo with a bunch of exclamation points. Preaching the End of the World is my favorite song off the record. I love the springy synth in it. His vocals on this one are beautiful. And then, just that lyric really hit me. We could share in every moment as it breaks, like such a visceral image.
It's like he's putting a call out to fellow sufferers.
Yeah.
Come suffer with me. Let's suffer together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I get that. I totally get that. So good.
Yeah, for sure. Follow My Way is also a favorite of mine too. I feel like they're pretty easy to adore. The acoustic guitar on this one and the mandolin. I think this one has mandolin.
A bouzouki or something,
Yeah. This one is so curious and colorful and technical.
Are you talking about Follow My Way?
Yep.
One thing to add in there quick. The orchestration they do where it goes down, man, I'm not doing the notes properly, but that orchestration where they have the strings on there, chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm. Bridge is gorgeous with dramatic swells. Yeah. I didn't take any notes for When I'm Down in Mission. It's not that I didn't like. I think one of the notes No.
I skipped Mission. Go ahead.
Yeah. It wasn't because I didn't like them. It's just more like there was nothing, that
jumped out at you.
Yeah, exactly. Wave Goodbye. I love the wah-wahs on this. Like the
that's right. Wow.
It's just
on the keyboards. On the keyboards.
Yeah, it's sick. The falsetto in the bridge. I just said delicious. It's wonderful.
Oh, when he does a when I'm down, that part there. Yeah. So good. Yeah.
Moonchild, also a favorite, easily, which I consider myself a Moonchild as well. So I felt like it was speaking
Maddie
to
Moon,
me.
that's right.
chorus on this one is a fave of mine. Feels like it continues to evolve. The mystery of the story being told through songs like Can't Change Me and Preaching the End of the World. There's some sort of weird narrative that
There's
I'm
a
almost
linear-
like pairing.
There's linear tracking with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Hey, Rick's here.
Hello.
Rick.
Sweet Euphoria, such a potent song. Cornell's voice with the acoustic stripped down to its roots is pure and majestic. It's mimicking melodies are potent and purposeful. So just the way that he like literally will like parallel these melodies and just kind of orient with them is delicious. I guess that's my word of the day. Disappearing One. I quite like the woodwinds, and I feel like there might be some horns in there as well.
Yep.
Love that. I also agree with you. It almost feels like it doesn't belong, but yet it does. It adds to the mysticism of the song, the woodwinds and the horns. And I feel like sonically it almost transports the song to a different time and feeling with those woodwinds and the horns. So it's a curious one for sure. Pillow of Your Bones. Strong driving chorus on this one, kind of what you were talking about. Great little tickle riffs on the guitar throughout. Steel Rain, just the line Steel Rain's taking over, and his like powerful belt over the super curious, ominous chords is wonderful. I feel like this song is both suggesting like dismalness yet necessary expression of pain in order to heal, which I feel like that's kind of synonymous with what we've been talking about with all the albums. Is like you almost have to go through the thick of it and the density of it to be able to actually come out on the other side and feel that life that lives beyond.
Yeah, you have to suffer to see that there is something good.
Of course,
that can that you can. You almost have to feel the suffering in order to embrace the good stuff, the positive stuff. Yeah,
I feel like for myself on my own journey, I noticed that the deeper I go into darkness and healing, the equal opposite, I'm able to feel more joy and more bliss. So I think that's what's so wonderful about this music is like it takes you to such dark and curious places that when you come out on the other side where it has that release and that I don't know if there's another word I could use for it, but yeah, it just feels so deserving
catharsis.
and cathartic to go through that journey. And my last note on that is on Steel Rain is I love the clunky scratches. I love the clunky scratches, the itch guitar solo during the bridge.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And this was one I do believe that I kind of kept pushing your direction a little bit a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple nudges.
Matt, you got to listen to this.
Yeah.
I remember it was probably like 2018.
Yeah.
And I was like, have you ever listened to this album? And because, Soundgarden, I think you could listen to some Soundgarden, but you're not typically a metal chick so much.
I know their most popular album.
Black Hole Sun.
Yeah, it's that record.
Fell on Black Days and all that stuff when they became mega giants.
Of course.
But I don't think you were ever like, and you heard those albums too. I guarantee it.
I
was the dad that was driving around with my kids in the back seat cranking the Soundgarden. Not too loud when you guys were in the car. Not crazy loud.
Loud enough.
Loud enough, probably. Yeah, loud enough to probably have caused some type of damage.
Yeah.
But I think I did push you hard on that album a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did because it was kind of the same thing as Buckley, where it's like when I truly did like find and understand the material in a way that felt like it was relative to my like sonic journey. I was like, oh, okay, like I totally understand Chris Cornell now,
Right. And real fast, quick note, and then we'll get to Kellen on this because I'm really super stoked to hear what he has to say. In 2017. Or was it 15 when he put his last solo album out? Universal Truth, or what was it called? Pull that up quick. Sorry. I didn't pick that album up. It's the one with I nearly forgot my broken heart, or whatever it was called.
Oh, yeah.
Or nearly.
Higher Truth?
Higher Truth was 15.
Or No One Sings
No,
Like
Higher
okay,
Truth was it. Yeah.
Post.
No, it was Higher Truth. The song was Nearly Forgot My Broken Heart. It's almost an all acoustic album for the most part, from what I remember. Never picked it up. I got to say, here's the story. If you remember, I was trying desperately to get tickets to go see him in York, which is across the river here. Remember that?
I don't know.
You were still here
I may have been in college.
And
but-
Lauren, well, no, 2015, you were in college, but you were coming home. And I was trying to get us tickets, and I can't remember what happened. And man, I regret not going to that show so bad because it was 20 minutes from my house, and it would have been my last chance to see Chris. And he was mainly doing all acoustic stuff, which would have been absolutely amazing to catch him do mostly acoustic stuff because he would do different variations of songs. He would also do Temple of the Dog songs. He would do, Audio Slave songs. And, there's plenty of video out there to watch, but I would have loved to have been there and taken you guys to see him. So, all right, Kellen, we got to hear this. I'm really curious.
I'll be quick about it because I want to spend the majority of the time that I have left talking about the Buckley record. So this is the one out of the three that I got you that is new to me. So track listing, just I'm gonna go through some of the favorites and standouts why I enjoyed them. I do think Can't Change Me is an interesting kind of like mission statement in terms of the breakaway from Soundgarden to this record.
Yes.
So that opens up. By the time we get to the second track here, Flutter Girl, I'm a little bit suspicious as to where this record is going.
Right.
I was like, this kind of scene, I guess the song, I was looking into the information. There's a bit of a backstory in terms of being a joke that was written in the studios for the Crow film, I believe.
It was, yes. Flutter Girl, yes.
But I agree. Once we get to Preaching the End of the World, for me, it's interesting to hear a vocalist like him in this context. I'm so used to this sort of like fire breathing, like
dragon,
just this powerhouse of an individual. And so I guess the overarching thing I came away with by the time we get to the third track here is, I think, to your point, this was probably something that was deep inside of him as a musician.
Yep.
That, right, like, you get a very small window into an individual sometimes when they become beholden to a band.
Yes.
And there must have been, I know this comes on the fallout of his relationship really with Soundgarden.
Susan Silver.
Yeah.
Oh, talking about his wife. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the band's sort of, right, is separated from, no?
Was he? I'm trying to remember when
I want to say this.
You might be right. Down on the Upside came out in what, like 95 or 96?
This is 99.
You're right. You're right. Yes, there was fallout. You're exactly right. Yeah.
So
and I think I'm going to steal your thought. None of these songs could ever be on a Soundgarden album.
Right. And to Maddie's point about catharsis, right? Like, it must be so frustrating for you as an individual to, like, you want to come home and play your gospel records.
Right.
But I can't just go then take that into this band. So
yeah.
It's kind of like George Harrison with All Things Must Pass at the end of the Beatles. Like, he had that.
He had all those songs
breathing in him, and he couldn't release it.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be an album we're going to talk a lot about in a future episode. Yes.
So I think that was, if anything, that where I struggled with this record was trying to like reconcile those two things.
Yeah.
Because like for me, when I got to When I'm Down, which is sort of the gospel track here, I believe, right?
Yep.
I mean, he has a voice for that.
Oh God.
I have a hard time picturing him doing gospel, as a singer, right? So it was a challenge for me to completely sort of embrace that side of it. The other, like, juxtapose that with some of the tracks that I enjoyed the most here were the more stripped down ones.
Right.
So I think the two that I had, so Steel Rain was one of them. And then really Sweet Euphoria might be the quietest moment on this record.
It is, for sure. Yep.
But like there's a needling thought throughout the entirety of this was like, man, if they had just done like a him with a guitar EP or something like that, like,
well, he did that later with Higher Truth.
Right. So it just, that was the part of me was like, he's kind of, in terms of influence, pulling from a lot of different genres. And like, right. So he's like if to me, like pulling all the different things he's always wanted to sing and put on record, and
Well,
like this is my chance to do it.
Kellen, I think to your point, where we talked about the Beck album kind of being linear and having a lot of similar songs, this is not like that at all. Every song is very different, man. And yes, there's a gospel bluesy theme that runs through maybe half the tracks, but they don't sound anything alike.
Right. But like, I mean, Moonchild's a great song, but to hear it's one of those things where there's some songs here for me that his voice work incredibly well with, and others one that I don't feel as quite as strongly about that I get a difficult time embracing.
But here's the point. I think you could say you're kind of guilty of typecasting.
100%.
Yeah.
Or you have an emotional relationship with an artist and so it's difficult for you to pull them out of there, right?
Yeah. It'd be like listening to Trey Azagthoth do an acoustic album. You're like, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense.
Sure. Which is so the thing was like the thing from in my head, both Cornell and Beck share that narrative. Both of them walk into these records with a history built on a previous sound.
Yes. Yes.
So they break away from that, and which is something that in this trilogy
nailed it
that they share. Whereas I want to get out of the way so we can give Maddie the stage for this next record.
I know.
I want it to be communal though.
Right.
All right. Okay. So we got to do a track quick. Okay. And we'll get Buckley done by 7. I promise.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So if you had to rank this though, where would you go with it? How many listens?
I think if you have someone who absolutely fell in love with Cornell's voice, this is an amazing opportunity to hear probably one of the more important vocalists of a decade.
Yes.
Bring his, see a side of him that you previously never could have, were to understand or appreciate under the contents of Soundgarden. So I just think there's a lot of interdisciplinary sort of like opportunity for him as a vocalist to present himself. And for me, Soundgarden and Cornell, that if I'm going to listen to this world, I mean, to your point, they're the band that I will gravitate towards first over Nirvana, over Pearl Jam, over like a lot of those. Soundgarden is the one for me. So, and Cornell, I don't know if I'm just sort of, this is a emotional connection that you're making based on someone who's sort of passed away I'm a child of the 90s. So I was very young when grunge was happening. So I heard those songs when I was like in elementary school.
Yeah.
And to now see someone like that and to pass the way he did, it's one of those things where we often, even though we're talking about like potentially heavy metal, like I just did an album club with Crimson Glory, and Midnight is a vocalist who is a super talented vocalist. But one of the greatest tragedies was you never got enough time, a recorded opportunity as an artist to be put to record.
Only 2 albums.
Right.
Well, three albums.
Cornell, someone who no matter what context, you want to hear Cornell. Now looking at his passing, you look at like, I wish, no matter what you thought of Audio Slave or his whatever,
right?
He's like a dominant, towering figure of a generation. So it was cool for you to pull this record out and give me an opportunity to hear him in a different light.
Yeah, Logan, quick. I pulled all these albums. It was my trio of picks, but Kellen was already kind of in on the Beck one. Maddie, we've been wanting, and the Buckley too. The Cornell was the wild card for Logan. I just wanted to say that when Cornell died, there's 2 artists that in my recent history that I cried. I broke down. Not when it happened, but later. Cornell was one of them. About a week after it happened, 10 days after it happened, I may have thrown Sweet Euphoria on. I don't remember what, and it might have been Preaching the End of the World. And suddenly I didn't even realize it, but just tears were streaming down my face. Because I know the struggle that he has had in his life. I've seen that darkness, and I've been in that darkness quite a lot in my life, sadly, unfortunately. And both from the medicinal point of view and the just the mental health point of view. I'm not scared to say that I've struggled with anxiety all my life. I hate it. It's fucked me up all my life, and it led me to pills, which then by doctors, which has really kind of destroyed me in many different ways. Maddie knows very well. Yeah, Cornell, just towering figure. That's and the bottom line is that he went on to do a bunch of other solo albums, and I'm going to be completely frank with you. They're just not that good. The songwriting's not that good. The production's okay. He went with Timbaland, which that's a name you probably know, but I don't know who that is. Timbaland. And he did that album. What the hell was it called? He's jumping on it. Oh, God. It's fucking terrible, man. His vocals are the only thing that's good on it. And then when I saw him for Carry On, it's an okay album, but it's not great. Higher Truth is okay. He kind of got back to his acoustic roots. So, all right, we got to move. We got to move. So I'll hold off till the end to play the tracks. That way, in case you're not here, I can play those last two tracks, okay?
Okay.
So we'll do the last track. Sorry,
And I thought for Grace, time-wise, we could kind of break it down song by song collaboratively.
Well, we can do that. That's true. We can do a collaborative thing.
You guys are down for that.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, hold on. Where was that? Yeah. So now we're doing Grace, which, come on, man. Are you serious? Jeff. All right. So, Maddie, why don't you start with Buckley? And,
do you want to give like the stats?
Oh, yeah. So the album came out November 17th. Nope, that was when he was born. Sorry. Hang on. I wasn't prepared. I was yakking. Imagine that. Jeff was yakking. Can't believe Jeff was talking. All right, so August 15th, 1994, this album comes out. He recorded late 93, 94 at Bearsville, Woodstock in New York. Came out on Columbia Records. I'm thinking we live in Columbia. I was thinking weird. Andy Wallace and Jeff Buckley were the producers. And so go ahead, Mads. Go ahead and start with your how you came into this and what your perception of the album.
Well, I'm trying to think of the first time I actually properly listened to it, but kind of like what Kellen was talking about in the beginning is like when albums can kind of transport you back in time. And I feel like I've had so many experiences with this album, it's kind of hard to track, but all those experiences are very much relative to healing, catharsis, curiosity, honestly, just musical evolution. Like Jeff is such a unique artist that when I heard him, I genuinely felt like I'd never heard anything like him before. Both the etherealness of his singing, I had never heard a vocalist like him before, obviously, but even just he's an excellent guitarist. Like he was trained, he went to school for guitar.
Killer guitar player.
Yeah, so that I feel like he seems like he's a guitarist first and foremost, and beyond that, exactly.
He was.
Beyond that, kind of.
He played in a metal band way back.
What was the name? Do you remember?
I'll look it up. I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you remember it, Kellen? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh, can you hear me? Am I good?
Now we can. Yeah, you were muted.
Okay. Sorry.
He played in a metal band that started with an A, I believe, wasn't it? Let me see here. Shinehead.
Oh, I don't know much, if any.
Yeah, he played guitar in various bands from jazz, reggae, and roots to heavy metal. Toured with that Shinehead was the reggae band. Fuck, where's the? I know the name of it. I'll look it up while you're talking, Mads. Go ahead.
Well, kind of speaking to that, if I'm not mistaken, in some ways he was kind of not necessarily rejecting the notion of being a singer, but because of his dad and his history with his dad, and his dad being sort of a singer-songwriter. What genre would you? I mean, honestly, Tim Buckley, he was folk. He was folk. But with like Lorca and some of his later albums are weird and trippy. So I feel like he kind of changed genres there a bit. But at his heart, like happy, sad, like that was folk. And I feel like, based on Jeff's history with his father, from what I understood reading his biography, he kind of rejected the idea of wanting to be a vocalist first and foremost. But I would imagine when, like, at some point, you know, both discovering his vocal ability and also his lyricism.
I think the band was called.
Point,
I think the band was called Group Therapy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Dope. Yeah. At some point, both from people witnessing his ability, but also I'm sure him embodying it, he kind of, you know, inevitably had to become a vocalist and the lyricist that he became.
Yeah, because his dad was such an amazing vocalist.
Yes,
and
exactly.
He died very young of a heroin overdose, and it was that carried with Jeff all through his life.
Yes, and just also the fact that Tim was an absent father in a lot of Jeff's life. So, you know, I think there was a lot of rejection of that. I don't know, like the potentiality of him becoming like his father in that way. And he really wanted to go like a different direction, which you can hear because he kind of approaches, and forgive me if this isn't the correct genre, but with this record on some of the songs, he really goes kind of grungy. He goes sort of punky.
There's alternative rock.
Yes.
There's acoustic based stuff that's more, it's not folk, but it's more alt folk, I guess.
Yeah, like fucking Lover, You Should Have Come Over, the guitar on that one, the acoustic, it's beautiful. So he totally did his own thing, but I will say there is it sounded like a ding from.
Oh, was that on your?
That's me.
Okay. It like had like some verb on it.
I thought somebody was coming in my door at me.
But I will say there is one similarity between Tim and his son, which is Jeff inherited that beautiful gospel vibrato ability to carry his voice,
that vibrato,
truly through ethers of, like, you know, sound. So yeah, that's how I would start this off. I mean, I love him so dearly. Also have watched so many interviews of this man. He's such a quirky, goofy, silly, and incredibly intelligent, and I think angsty, kind of punky kid into adult. And I love everything he says when he in the interviews. He's just such a trip. Like,
and you read the book. I
read the book, which is called Dream Brother. I don't have it with me, but it's
you have my book.
Yes, correct.
She also has my Jeff Buckley box set with, like, I haven't seen that in years. The live stuff.
Which
I don't think I'm getting that back. I'm just saying. I don't know.
There's one thing you don't need, Jeff. It's another box set. You'll be
no, damn it! I want all the box sets.
And I just wanted to say one more thing, because I don't know if we're going to be able to touch on it, but Grace ended up inevitably leading me to live at Shanae, and that live record might be one of the best live records I've ever heard.
Crazy good. Just him and a guitar.
Yeah, and then in the beginning, like him and his stomping, Be Your Husband, it's immaculate. And you also know it takes you to a time and place when he was on that journey of signing with Sony.
He was busking, man. He was busking. He was just trying to make some money.
Yeah, so
make a name. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him.
Maddie's, and I think it's without question, it's fair to say that I got you into that world for sure.
Well, I was gonna say that when I was younger, I feel like I remember you holding the Jeff Buckley CD, and then as I've gotten older, I'm just like attributing kind of the encoding that
you've done a cover of which song?
Lilac Wine, and then Hallelujah.
Oh, you did Hallelujah?
Well, I've sang that multiple times.
I thought you did. Yes.
Oh, and I did. I probably have done all these at some point in time, but Forget Her.
Yeah, you did Forget Her. That was the one, dude. Forget Her Now. She does this cover of Forget Her Now. You still have it anywhere? Is it posted anywhere?
It might be gone because I've deleted a lot of social media over the years.
All right, Kellen, you said you got into this through your parents, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, so this is an album that I heard, but just sort of, passively, whatever stuff, like it just in the background kind of deal. But for me, like, I think the appreciation of it, I didn't have, right? That took a long time to get there, in terms of like the context of who he was, before I grew to understand or appreciate him as a vocalist alone. That took a lot of steps of understanding different sort of genre talents. Like, for me, do I need to? Okay. Okay. There's a moment, like, so it's probably most specific when you hear Lilac Wine.
Yeah, nothing's open. Anyway, sorry.
but like I did not know that was like a jazz cover when I first heard it. Right?
That was a cover, yeah.
Yeah, Nina Simone covered it, and I want to say that Jeff kind of took inspiration from that, but it's originally from I wrote this down.
It wasn't a Nina Simone song.
OG is by James Shelton.
Yeah.
In the 50s.
Right. So now, after like listening to jazz and listening to like all this, you hear that and you're like, whoa, like stylistically, that is a major departure from the kind of like 90s icon alt singer with that you kind of get to
big
know.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that is not an easy skill set to just transition between.
He had a 5-octave range.
But it's, for me, it's like cadence.
Yep.
There's like, so some like Nina Simone is another one who had a vibrato, but had a very sort of unique way where it would, like, if you're a jazz vocalist, learning how to play with like phrasing is something that that you have to master, right? And there's people who do it differently. I hear Nina Simone and how she's like using vibrato as an extension of like an emotional sort of context, right? You want to accent a phrase. So you lean into the vibrato in a certain way. That is like a level of vocal talent that I don't think you usually ascribe to singer-songwriters. Like, to me, that was just like a total, going back and listening to this again. And, there's a couple of moments where the covers, for me, to hear like Hallelujah, I've heard that so many times from different vocalists, right? So I think probably to hear this in 94, if you were well acquainted with Leonard Cohen,
right?
Yep.
And you heard it in 94, you'd be like, that's an amazing, like, by the time now and going back to listen to it, I've heard a lot of different covers of that song. Yeah. But for me, like the carol here, the Corpus Christi carol.
Oh God.
I'm like reaching for whatever, where are the Kleenex? Like,
right.
I can't help it. I've like listened to it multiple times in a row. He demonstrates a level of control in that range.
Yes.
Like there's a 3-note ascent as that song fades. High, and he's already like reaching up there. And with the most graceful of pressure, just picks it up, and just how easy that is for him.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, most people can't do that.
He makes it seem so effortless.
Yep.
And it's such an incredible flex as a vocalist.
Yeah. Good way to put it.
To me, you come away from this record, like I was listening to it, the past couple of weeks, and like my wife and I share some musical things. She heard me playing this record, and she walked around the corner like, for the love of God, thank you. I don't have to listen to some other not like coming from your room.
So cool.
Yeah.
She knows we're about the same age.
Yeah.
And she independent of anything I've ever said, like she loves this record. She lives in New York, like, so she has this association with Buckley and his time there. Anyway, it's just one of those things where I listen to this record, and both of you as guitarists probably have a greater appreciation of his skill and how he integrates that on this album.
Really, really great guitar player, yeah.
But I am just one to Maddie's point. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone sing like this.
His range is, I mean, we're comparing him. If we compare him to Chris, they're very similar. But I do think that maybe that Jeff might have had a more refined,
articulated
and refined. Like, for example, that part on Lilac Wine where he's going, where he's doing lilac wine, so sweet and heady. When he does that part where he goes, listen to me, I can see. I can't do anything like that, but he does that. I can see clear. And he does that vibrato on clearly. Clearly.
Yep.
It's so incredible, man.
He has so much control. Man, I was gonna say something, but
the other thing I thought was, like, great vocalists have like multiple personalities within the same song.
Sure.
So for me, my greatest example of that is someone like Al Green, right? He comes from a soul background.
Mm-hmm.
Al Green, like I heard him once described as like he can go from being a church mouse and he can just kind of blow through a phrase. So he can like, I can think of younger days. And he can just go through the entire phrase of that on how do you mend a broken heart, right? And he'll just go through it and just speak it quietly. So he's not actually singing it. And then the way he'll play with the cadence on the next part of it is when living my life was like, and so he's playing with how you phrase the vocals, not just how you sing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think Jeff, when you think of him as a vocalist, we're to often talk about range, but you don't think about like meter, right? You don't think
Yes.
True.
Literally being able to be in the pocket at that
right
pinnacle point.
When you want to walk out of it, when you want to get big into it, right?
Yes.
And that's like great jazz vocalists operate like instruments like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
I don't know why this came to mind. Are you familiar with Fiona Apple?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
she too is a very well-trained vocalist in cadence and rhythm. And she's a trip as well. When you're mentioning that, she just flashed in my brain. The record "Fetch the Bolt Cutters," I think is like, it's a good one to call out.
Well, let's rock through the tracks quick since you got to get out of here in 10 minutes.
I bought us some time. So we've got
You bought us some time. Okay, so all right. So I want to tell a very quick story about how I came in to Jeff. You may have actually beat me to Jeff if you were like 10 years old when this came out, right? And
right, but like let's measure my appreciation and understanding of this record as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, okay.
Just for context.
But okay, so I didn't actually become aware of Jeff until 2000 when, and I always mention this guy, and it sounds like I'm being a star fucker. I swear to God, I'm not. But Stephen Wilson said, "Have you heard Jeff Buckley's Grace?" I'm like, "No, who's that?" And he's like, "Go listen to it now. Just go buy it now. Don't even ask me what's it like. Go buy it now." He knew me well enough, and we were trading back and forth on various different, bands and singers and songwriters. And, Steve's a singer-songwriter himself, obviously. If you don't know who Stephen Wilson is, Porcupine Tree and solo artist. And I went out and grabbed my first copy of Grace, and I fell instantly in love because there's no mediocre track on this album. There just isn't. There just is not. And what I didn't realize was that a singer like him could really exist out there. Like there's just, I don't know, man. There's very few guys that you could say were in the rarefied air of what Jeff Buckley could do. From snarling, like on a song like Kangaroo, which is not on here, but later, or where he's like just belting it out.
Yeah, like in Eternal Life.
Eternal Life, where he gets
edgy
on that, where he's just almost getting punky in a way, to something like Corpus Christi Carol, where you're just like, oh my God, man, that's like opera level stuff right there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had an operatic voice. He could do that. And I think, the other thing about Jeff that was stunning was he was just an amazing songwriter, man. We don't have a lot from him. We have one album, a lot of B-sides, a lot of, and my second version of Grace was bought because I got the Legacy edition, with all the demos, and it had the bonus track that should have been on the album called Forget Her Now, which is one of my favorite songs, right? But yeah, this is just a stunning album. It's a 10 out of 10 album for me. I'm just going to say that right up front. It's kind of mind-blowing, like to and sad at the same point, because we did get a second album from Jeff, but it was a posthumous album that Chris Cornell pushed Jeff's mother to release, because he's like, I get it. They weren't finished tracks, most of these. They weren't studio complete, but Jeff's work in progress is better than most people's finished product. We have to get this out there, right? And come here, Foo. And My Sweetheart the Drunk is okay. It's not like Grace. I don't go to it like I do to Grace, but there's some cool songs on there like Nightmares by the Sea and I'm trying to remember a couple of the other ones that are on there. Do you remember some of them?
Well, I was just going to say, I feel like you go for Grace when you're wanting a spiritual, transcendent experience. And then if you're wanting to listen to like a good fucking singer and some good songs, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear
you're
on
allowed to
here.
swear,
All right.
You weren't listening to me very much.
I guess not. I guess not.
She doesn't know her dad very well, apparently.
Oh, I do, because I have the same sailor mouth as you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
See what I did as a father? I failed.
Yeah, but Sketches for My Sweetheart the Drunk, it has enough intrigue and just like the coolness of Jeff Buckley, his sound that, you're like, I'm here for it.
Tons of live stuff out there. So there's a lot of live shows.
Chennai, it's like that in itself. We could do an entire.
There's live at Olympia. There's the other one that was done in Chicago. So you can hear a lot of this stuff. But we didn't have a lot of work from this guy.
Right.
But what did come out?
Yeah. Right.
Monolithic stuff. For me. Kind of
magnum opus.
I think you could say kind of sets the bar ridiculously high for anybody who wants to follow in his footsteps, right?
Right. Like, so, I mean, I know we want to get into the track stuff, but I've got a little more time to work with. So
okay, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, out of all the other sort of singer-songwriters to emerge from this decade, right? I'm trying to think one that would potentially be on par here.
Fucking Rick always has to throw some dumbass pun in somewhere.
Right, like to me,
what did you say, Kellen?
It's okay, yeah, like I'm trying to think of another record like that you could put and say it competes with this for the 90s.
Man, I'd really have to sit down and think hard.
Right, like I just, there's sometimes we can group in individuals who, because to your point, there are other great sort of singer-songwriter subs that came out from this era.
Sure.
But this is like a different, this is a very different sort of experience than
it's a level beyond what a lot of that other stuff.
Or just that what made him talented.
Yeah.
I think that is also such a unique dimension to what this record has to offer.
Right.
And yeah, so because the covers on here, to me, like that's the one thing, being like a Magnus Opus record, I always, there's a part of me in the back of my head is like, it's one of the most attractive things about this record is how he navigates these very different sort of genres.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Papa.
It's the part of it that also feels like, man, I wish, he had a follow-up where he was able to just do his work, right?
Yes.
Because, man, if he just wanted to do a covers album, I'd be on for but there are 3 covers.
Well, that's
right?
the live at Chennai is a lot of covers in there.
Right. Really good ones.
But I bet that's like a live record different than like a studio record. So
I think what's so cool is that the covers that he does them so in his own vein that I know, and I think it was just per where my musical like knowledge and awareness was at the time. I didn't know that
he does Strange Fruit from Nina Simone. Yeah.
Well, no, that's isn't that
Billie Holiday?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Holiday. Yeah. Sorry.
Gosh, that cover is chills. I mean, Billie's original is you can't beat it. But anyways, I clearly only have one brain cell I'm working from today, so.
No, I interrupted. Yeah. I'm sorry. I would definitely suggest if you dig Grace, you get Chennai because it's just raw Jeff Buckley. Very little, if any, overdubbing or anything like that on it.
The production is quite good as well.
Yeah.
Maddie, you were talking about when you would come to this record based on your musical knowledge. I don't know if you were going to talk about the covers.
Oh, yes. I was not aware that Lilac Wine was a cover until more recently. So it fit within his musical motif for me somehow, going from the contrast of knowing he could literally sing Eternal Life, this edgy, like, sort of punk song, to Corpus Christi, and anything within that, spectrum is fair game, right? So hearing Lilac Wine, it was just like another beautiful song of his. And then same thing with Hallelujah. I think I had the general awareness that there had been covers, but I was like, oh, maybe Jeff's is the OG, which honestly, it may as well be. Yeah,
it may
right?
as well be. It really should be.
Yeah.
I love Leonard Cohen, but
yes, me as well.
There's something about Jeff's interpretation of that song that just
it hits every So
let's hit the track listing. And then we'll listen to a song and get Kellen out here, and we'll get some beats.
Sweet.
This has been much better conversation than I even was hoping for. So,
Yes.
and I'm sorry, I do get super excited about, and I kind of dominate sometimes a little bit, but I have so many thoughts in my ADHD brain that have to come out, Yeah. So, Maddie, why don't you go through the tracks quick for yourself?
What I was going to say, it'd be helpful for me if we kind of did it collaboratively, because
All right.
I listened to this.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's
I
do that.
didn't take like,
That's cool. That's
particular notes. So I'd love to have like a collaborative. Yeah.
Yep. So Mojo Pin.
Yes.
It gets started with that really cool guitar riff.
The chugging, building guitar.
Yep. And it's kind of, it's kind of a punk song a little bit. It's got a little bit of an edge to it.
When he's doing those like vocal, like almost climbs.
We'll sing it.
Oh. And that Mojo Pin keep me satisfied.
That's right.
But he has a lot of these like looming, like ethereal yet edgy vocals, so you get introduced right away, kind of unlike what you were talking about with Chris Cornell. Almost immediately that, oh shit, like this guy's onto something.
I can't remember if this is an open tuning or a drop D tuning, but it has those chordal things that you have, like you have octaves, and you're playing down, 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 and it's very down, 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 and it's really kind of menacing where he goes, rain in the fire, rain in the fire, and just trust me, I cannot sing like Jeff Buckley. We just heard that, so
I almost want to say I could so be wrong, because this is one of those songs lyrically that I'm not as familiar with, but I want to say that he wrote this relative to heroin addiction. I'm not sure if it wasn't his own, but perhaps relative to his father or other friends within, because the 90s, that was a big period of, sort of romanticizing drug use.
Oh, definitely in the Seattle area.
In music. And so I'm not sure contents wise, but the looming and almost just dark nature makes sense if those two would be, if that would. Anyways, Kellen, do you have thoughts on Mojo Pin?
No, I think to your point, it's a great. I do believe the first two tracks were the ones that were the singles that were released for this album. And I do like that they are. So, I'm sorry, looking here on the note. So Grace was the first. So Mojo Pin was not. But I do think it is like at least roots him in the time period. This sounds like a song from '94.
It does.
At this point, it's got enough of like a alternative edge to it that is 100% inheritance that sort of turned into popular culture, that some tangential relationship to punk, right?
Yeah.
So I think that spoke to what people were wanting from a singer-songwriter in '94. Mm-hmm. But to your point, he cannot help. I wonder. As he starts as a guitarist, I don't know, when you're writing a song as a guitarist, you can't help but sing to it. Like you hear a melody.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Melody, right? And so you're like humming it. I wonder if someone just heard him humming along and was like, oh, hell no. You cannot just be a guitarist. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Someone was like, there's so much, to your point, the way he phrases and just kind of opens up into this other sort of vocal range.
Yeah.
To me, it begins the album, and like this is not going to be your average record. The person who is operating here is completely one of a kind.
Yeah, and that's he really was kind of one of a kind in terms of just how dynamic he was as a performer. If you've seen live footage of him perform, he's magnetic,
Yeah.
He's a good looking dude, but he doesn't have like Chris Cornell's looks in a way, but he's still an attractive guy, but he's got that artist weirdness to him.
Oh yeah.
In a way that is really attractive to people that are like, whether it be women who are attracted to him. I mean, he was with Liz Fraser from Cocteau Twins. They had a thing going on for quite a while. Or whether it was dudes like me that heard him as a singer-songwriter and were like, oh my God, man, I want to aspire to be like that. Because like I should be that good.
Yes.
And I'll never be that good vocally, but guitar wise, I could probably keep up with him to a degree, but yeah.
And I feel like Mojo Pin, it does just that. It literally draws you into the record. Like even just like those like, drawn out vocal, takes that he does. It's not unlike, when you're witnessing or watching or listening to his presence, it's like you can't not listen. Kind of like what you were saying about your wife. She heard it and she was like, there's some sort of magical.
Check that out.
Yeah.
She recognized it. She's like, she popped her head around. Like, you're listening to Jeff Buckley? Like,
Yes.
This is not your average album club. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Oh, yeah. Did you tell her what we were doing? Obviously.
Yeah, well, she knew. She was like, what was going on? So,
well,
I told her I was jumping on tonight, and she loves Grace as a record. But two, she said she was mentioning, she saw Cornell. She said, he came to where I met her in Eugene. So she lived in Eugene. This had been 2014, 15.
Okay.
He came to Eugene and he went to go see her. So
he came for that tour that I was going to take my kids to, the what's it called? Something Higher Truth, which I really regret missing that. But all right. So now my last point on Mojo Pin was, it's a heavy song, man. It's like heavy. It's kind of metallic at the end, not like metal crunchy guitars, but the way what he's doing, the rain in the fire, and I know that's terrible and I apologize for that, but it's the best I can do. But I mean because I blew my voice out doing Cornell, just kidding. Doing such a great Cornell, but it's like, that song's heavy, man, and it's dark. It's dark when you start to throw the lyrics in there, man. It's so good. Go ahead. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're on to
Grace.
We're on to Grace.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I just had to do a little let me remind myself. It kind of has that similar. Yeah. It kind of has that similar. I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but almost just persisting guitar that literally lays the landscape for that song, and I love it. I love the guitar on.
I was singing the wrong one. I was singing Grace.
Oh, I was like, yeah, because honestly, there's times where I'm listening to this record and it feels like everything is just all one composite organism.
Hang on, I'm confused now. I forget. I literally thought I was singing Grace there. Rain in the Fire. I'm sorry.
I can take a peek
I thought I was singing Mojo Pin, and it's not. I was singing Grace.
Don't mind us. This is our favorite record ever.
Yeah, we know this record inside and out.
So Grace, Wait in the Fire. Yep.
Yeah, Grace is Wait in the Fire. Yeah. So what's Mojo Pin? Is that down? That's the real punky one.
No Mojo Pin. Keep me satisfied.
That's it. Keep me satisfied. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah, I was mixing them up. That's my bad.
Don't wanna weep for you. Don't wanna know. I'm blind and tortured. The white horses flow. Memories fire. The rhythms fall slow.
And then it's Black Beauty. I love you so. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yep.
That was terrible.
Anyway, sorry.
We know this album inside and out so much so we fucked the first two tracks.
Yes. But still, like.
Yeah, what do you? Hey, look, if you want your money back, just ask. I don't have it, so there you go. All right, so Grace.
You can speak to
We
Grace.
talked a lot about Grace. We should probably go back to Mojo Pin and talk about that one a little bit because that's Mojo Pin is a little darker. It's pretty dark, right?
No, we were not too far off. I think obviously chorus wise different.
Yeah, it was off on the
that
chorus.
song is very dark, and I was speaking to sort of just the alluring aspect of that song.
Yeah, when he sings that one part
allurement.
where he's doing that, he sings the word black, and he sings it, but he roaches his voice later where he goes really harsh on it, and that's kind of where it gives me that almost punky vibe,
For sure. Grace, the lyrical, this is one of the first songs where I really noticed the lyrical content. I mean, even just the first stanza, the moon asking to stay long enough for the clouds to fly me away. Oh, it's my time coming. I'm not afraid to die. Jeff, I think, approaches concepts of death and grief, not unlike what we were talking about with Sea Changes and Euphoria Morning. They're unafraid to approach topics in a very either blunt way or obscure way, or in Jeff's way, pure poetic way, and metaphorical way. And I just remember, like listening to the song, maybe a couple years back when I had one of my listening parties with this record. Especially knowing what about Jeff's passing, it's kind of trippy reading like, oh, it's my time coming, I'm not afraid to die. I do believe Grace in many ways is like alluding to the necessary surrender to allow yourself to be free and I don't know, open to darker concepts like death and like grief and like loss.
Oh, and he lost his dad young, so he was faced with that
already.
He was born in 1966. So he'd be my age if he was alive today. Well, he'd be 59 in November. So he was about 7 or 8 months younger than me. But he lost his dad, I believe, in 1970, I believe. So his dad, he was only 4. So he never really got to know his dad. And his dad was absent touring a lot.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of, from what I read in Dream Brother, there was a good deal of, I didn't get what a lot of other people got.
Yeah, confrontations with, and also just the music he listened to too. Like he wasn't unknown to exploring topics that were certainly on the darker side of humanity. But I think that alone allows him to, have the equal opposite of expression of optimism and curiosity and love that he explores in this record.
Right. So we got Last Goodbye next.
Did you have any thoughts on Grace?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, I mean, I completely agree with everything you had to say. I in my mind, I thought it was fair enough that you kind of put the first 2 songs in a similar light.
Yeah, it's same.
They do have a similar vein.
Because that was going to be my transition point. Was for Last Goodbye to me, that feels like even a more true 90s
yes.
Song. Yeah, a true 90s ballad.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and he does that I know he does in an open G tuning, and it's just got this super cool down, 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 down. And I used to know how to play it. I wouldn't try right now because I'd have to retune my guitar, but it's such a cool track, man. Like, and the way he sings it, it's and they've got really cool orchestrations in it. So you get, this is our last goodbye, though it hurts. You probably know the lyrics better than I do, but what's it say? You have it up?
Oh, I hate to feel the love between us
die, but it's over.
Yeah.
Just hear this and then I'll go. You gave me more to live for, more than I'll ever know. And that's that.
This is our last embrace. And that's kind of speaking to what you were talking about, just those little tremolos that he does with his voice, where he's just dancing. And I guess we're on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's a run, right?
Yes.
Like he's pulling like that sort of technical proficiency and knowledge as a vocalist up a scale.
Yes.
But it just feels so like, I mean, featherweight.
Yes.
Right. It does not feel like there's any effort. He's just sort of riding the wind up a scale.
Yes.
Yeah, it's effortless. Yeah.
Like that transition is like, it just happens and then you're just there and you're like, oh, we're here now. It's like.
This is a great John Hughes love story movie soundtrack song. When the two
people are apart.
When
and
the two characters, like, let's just say Judd Nelson and Molly Ringwald or something, right? They're partying on the football field, and they got a great song. Don't get me wrong, Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me, great song, one of my favorites of all time. But this could have been, this is our last goodbye. You get that, kiss me, oh, kiss me.
Oh, yeah. Yep,
kiss me.
Yep.
It's
got kind of that, oh my gosh, of course, the Cranberries kind of vibe, certain songs off of that.
And Cranberries were very 90s,
exactly.
Very late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, but it's got that sort of romanticism of.
Yeah, it's got that
song.
In my dream.
Yes. Yep.
This is our last goodbye. You get a music education out there, people.
Oh man, this is.
She can sing, and I suck. But
we thought we were just going to talk about music. Oh hell no!
No, and that's probably going to be the theme of all these as we go forward. Well, unless it's shit like, unless I have Marty on and he picks Suffocation or something like that. I'm not even going to try any death metal tracks. But all right, so next we got
Lilac Wine, which we kind of spoke about a bit.
Wine,
Right.
so sweet and heady.
Yep.
Such a beautiful song cover.
Yep.
Who was it by again? Shelton?
I'm already forgetting.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
forget.
bud. It is
I've never
originally
heard-
by James Shelton.
I've never
in
heard the original.
50s, and
Never heard the
then covered by Nina Simone and other likeness.
But what's super cool about it is it's basically just Jeff and his guitar.
Yeah.
Is there any drums in that? Is there little brushes?
There might be like a very like almost like a cocktail kit in the background,
So
just like something
sweet.
super.
Yeah,
but
when he does
I
that,
really don't know.
you know, so sweet and heady.
Yeah, I think once
Ugh.
the kind of picks up, there's like a. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
But like, I guess he doesn't try and rob it of its authenticity.
No.
Meaning, like, I hear that and it's like this is sung in a way that is dated from a different era.
Right.
You know, like he doesn't try and modernize it. His adaptation
No.
and alter the original contents of it. It feels like someone who wants to sound like they're singing in 1950s.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lounge act song from some smoky club that you had to walk down to get into, not up. You know what I mean?
There's like a single spotlight on him, and you're seeing the smoke kind of
Smoke
like
rings and yeah, very
Right. I just think that that requires a certain kind of like
finesse.
we have understanding of nuance.
Finesse.
That I think if someone just walking up and doing a cover and putting that like
yes.
just to be this who he is for the first 3 tracks of this record, and then to go do a jazz standard that sounds like it was recorded in the 50s, like that's he's time traveling in the midst of 15 minutes. So
and you gotta be really real good to be able to do that. Just as an aside, imagine, if you will, Kid Rock doing Lilac Wine. My name is, I like some of your lilac wine. I mean, it would just be fucking absurd, right? So,
I don't think anyone's ever confused the two.
I don't think so either.
Oh man.
Something tells me I'd be shocked. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd be shocked if Kid Rock ever even knew who the hell Jeff Buckley was. But maybe he does. I don't
Who
know.
knows?
Okay, we'll
All
go
right,
on to the next song.
So
here.
real. Oh, that was so real. That was so
Yes.
real. He goes into the upper stratosphere on this song, man, with the vocals. And unlike me, who roaches it, he's effortlessly flowing into it when he goes from, da, 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 how's it go? He's doing those weird,
it's
really.
like, dun-dun-dun, and then
Dun, 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 dun. It's almost like a polka. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
it's
dun,
got
dun.
a certain swing to it, and then in between his lines, it'll be like it'll take these little breaks that explore, which it kind of hard to describe, but it's like just
When he's doing
fully
that.
contrasts the sort of straight beat into like this dun 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 dun, dun.
Well, in the
Yeah.
polka bit, that's when he's doing the love. Let me sleep tonight on your
At your
couch.
couch.
Bum ba
Yeah,
da
yeah.
bum ba da bum bum ba da bum ba da bum bum.
Yes.
And then you get into the chorus, which is down, 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 just a repeated
Yep.
melody line on the guitar. He's in an alternate tuning, which he did all throughout this album. But it's like, oh, that was so real. I can't even fucking try to be Jeff Buckley, but
I feel like with this song, you kind of get a sense of, okay, so he can write more, not necessarily commercialized songs. I mean, you kind of get that with Last Goodbye as well in a different way, the way we were
that's
talking
pretty
about
commercial. That was a single, I believe.
it. So Real?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, the other one.
Oh, okay. Well, I was
Last
going to say
Goodbye.
So Real and Forget Her. Yeah, one of them released a music video for it, and I do think it was a more popularized song on the record at the time.
She would.
But anyways, yeah, I think So Real has that sort of
Singles were Grace, Last Goodbye, So Real,
Yeah.
and Eternal Life.
Okay, nice. So it has that sort of element that I think people could hear that and they wouldn't be, not necessarily turned away, but feel like maybe it's a bit much, or musically they're not at that, obviously music's for everyone at any time, but maybe people are going to like easily grab Eternal Life or easily go for Corpus Christi Carol, like hearing a song like So Real, they're like, oh yeah, like very digestible is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But still
But still very cool.
very alt sounding.
Yes.
So Real does not sound like a typical pop song.
No.
Sure. If you pull the covers off of this album, this is a totally unique record.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's still him.
Yes.
I mean, so I think, and it'd be like in great 90s, all, you know, the covers make it interesting just because they're so good. But, because I think his version of Hallelujah is like in the Library of Congress.
It is. Yeah.
So,
and it didn't actually get released until after his death in 2002.
Anyway,
but
to your point, though, like, I'll just agree that So Real is another one of those, like, yeah, this is him doing something that is completely unique
to him.
Also, I love this. I love this.
There's very few singers that could do that. That, like I said, it's almost like a waltz. Dum da da dum dum da da dum dum da da dum dum da da da. And then when he gets into the chorus, where it's more like the alt rock song,
right?
You know, alt rock of the '90s. He just does that. You know, where he's just, oh, that was so real.
Yeah.
He slides in where you saw me had to struggle to get into a falsetto.
Brace myself when I make this climb. Yes.
It didn't sound bad. He just slides right into a falsetto. That's amazing. You know, I don't know if you've ever met Than. I got to get you guys together. Than was with us at MDF, and he sings in this something of Teeth is the name of the band. I can't remember, but it's a male and female choral group. No music. They just do absolutely mind blowing. And Than has a great fucking voice. I think he's a contrabass or alto. I forget. I would love, I'm going to text him after this and say, dude, we just talked about Grace. I got to hear from a singer's perspective, a really good singer, what you think of this. Not that you're not a good singer, because you're a great singer, but he's a pro. He goes to Europe and sings. I'm just totally now. I'm like, I'm fixated on that. I got to talk to Than, and I got to get him in on one of these too. So, but okay. So, last thoughts on So Real?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, speaking to perhaps the perceived like polka-esque aspects about it, or you know, sonic, you know, themes of it. It kind of speaks to his inspirations, and you really can get a sense of that when you listen to live at Shanae, because the covers he does, you know, he even does like almost like not mocking covers, but interludes of like the Doors, and then
goofing around,
just a ton of different, not obscure, but I would just say like unique and
unusual
artists that you're like, oh wow, you're going for that, and then you listen to it and you're like, I totally understand why you went for that. But yeah, I think that's so cool, because you can't deny that, you know, this gift that he has been cultivated and coddled to become what it was based on his upbringing and what he was listening to and how he was educated, certainly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on, because I do want to play the tracks at the end there. So Hallelujah. We kind of beat that up. I mean, right now, I would think oh man, this is gonna hurt, but I'm gonna do it. You live in a van down by the river if you've never heard this song. That's just the reality. You just are so detached from any social media or the TV or life in general. You're probably a serial killer, I'm guessing. Maybe you might be.
Or you have yet to find it, and when it has yet to find you.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the young, you know, kids are too young.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is the track that's oversaturated from the album.
Sure.
But that being said, it's fucking amazing. And when Jeff does it, just him live, just him and a guitar, where he capos at the 5th fret, and you're just like, man, when he does that. Oh man, I'm not. It's gonna be terrible. But when he does that, hallelujah, and he does that, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Yeah.
It's just, it's terrible. It's fucking awful, man. I don't even know why I tried that, but like just that, I can sing like Lane Staley all day long, every day. But getting up in that high rank stuff, not my bag of tricks. Yeah, there's moments on Hallelujah, and he did change the lyrics a little bit, I believe, right? There's that part where he does she tied you to her kitchen chair,
broke your throne
and cut your hair. Is that from the original?
Honestly, I'd have to look.
I don't think it is. I don't
Yeah.
think it is. I know he changed one lyric in there. It's kind of weird. So, all right, we're gonna wrap up here in a minute, dude.
You want to talk about Lover? You should have come
Yeah,
over.
we gotta talk about that song because that's. And you didn't give me a track yet, did you? didn't, yeah.
I would honestly, even though I love Dream Brother, I'm gonna have to say Lover, you should have come over, because to me it is one of the most heartbreaking, beautiful love songs
It is.
I've ever heard, and heard.
It's one of the few I can play on this album.
Yes,
so.
and
all right, we'll do that one.
This record, I feel like this song, it also is one of the best songs I think any young lover could heartbroken young love
could ever listen to,
because that song, it healed me and broke me all in the same breath and did it over and over and over again. And I have to say, on some level, like, it brought me back to together with my partner in some weird, obscure way, in terms of just the healing that song has done for me. I'll quote one line from it, which is, "Maybe I'm just too young to keep good love from going wrong."
Yep.
To me, that in itself is one of the most beautiful lyrics you could ever utilize or write, in terms of just, enunciating on what it's like to fall in love when you're a young human, just even beginning to learn how to love and understand and find yourself, to give and to understand that with another person. It's a trial, and it's a trip. So
yeah, it is a beautiful song. Sorry, go ahead.
And also an appreciation of what potentially time can bring to someone's world, right? Like, to have seen right. People suffered, calloused, grown cold, like, that's the other side of it. It's an appreciation and understanding of also the trials that life can bring. And so, right. So it's not just his ability to reflect on, attempt to preserve what he sees to be good within himself, but also a recognition of, like, I want to protect that, and if I find that in someone else, right? Like, there's a mature glimpse there. It's not just naive, like, I'm young and innocent. It's also like, I've seen others grow cold.
Even just to be able to reflect and write a line like, "Maybe I'm just too young to keep good love from going wrong." I mean, I would imagine on some level have to be out of it to actually look back and understand that there was not necessarily a lack, but an ignorance there that would inevitably be enlightened to throughout life's experiences.
And I think this song, of all the songs, other than my favorite song, which is the next song, this song builds in such an intense way. By the time you get to the end there, where he's doing that, it's never over, all my blood for sweetness of a laughter. And then he just takes that it's just so incredible, man. And the song just builds and builds. But my lyric that I love is, looking out the door, I see the rain fall upon the funeral mourners. Like a death of something. Here we go back to the Beck lyrics of a dying
themes
relationship.
Of death throughout the record.
Parading in a wake of sad relations as their shoes fill up with water. I mean, that's a cool line right there, right?
Yeah. I just think, to your point, like, this feels to me the most open and biographical
and vulnerable.
Yeah. There's something about this that I feel like it's not
He's
just allegory.
He's lived this.
Sometimes, like, you get to write a song and it's about
somebody else
reaching. Well, but you're, like, also reaching on something that is far more abstract.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a song and you write it and it's like, here, this moment, and I don't want to obstruct it with, greater sort of distance. This is like, you're trying to write it in an immediate sort of time frame. And I get when I look at the lyrics to this song, there's something about it that feels a bit more plain spoken.
You're right. It's not as couched in metaphor or anything like that. It's very directly saying, "Hey, man, I'm hurting. I reached out to you. You should have come over because this could have happened." Not even about sex, just about, because that you would kind of maybe think, "Oh, lover, you should have come over. We have sex and you go about your day and I go about mine." It's more about that, reaching that intimacy moment that was lost. Not physical, but maybe more a mental thing.
Yeah, and
more of a abstract concept there.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a beautiful song. We're gonna listen to that one. So,
I will say
anything
time-wise,
else on that
though.
one, Kellen?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Gotta hit Dream Brother though, man.
Okay, are we good on the rest? Or you want to just
We did all.
Dream Brother isn't?
I
No,
thought
we
that
still
was the
have
last-
a. We still
Oh
have a
shit, we got
handful
Corpus
more.
Christi. I'm sorry.
So we
Yeah.
got Corpus Christi.
it.
We kind of spoke to that. That one is like, just listen to it. I recommend anyone listening to this.
It's
It is
stunning.
truly gospel. Like, to me, like I mentioned, this album in itself is a very spiritual album, I think, because Jeff was also very a spiritual being. Like, in one of his interviews, he was like laughing. He was like, well, I'm just in this meat suit. And then he was like joking about, his spiritual beliefs and sort of fluidity with that. But yeah, I think this song specifically kind of points to his relation to all that, perhaps, or not even like is Corpus Christi is not a cover. Is that correct?
It's an old song from like the 1600s.
It's an old carol.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, but I guess what I was saying, or why I was asking that, is because the way that he sings it, just purely from his heart and from his soul, his sonic soul, it's like he might as well have written it himself, I think, relative to his own perhaps experience with finding God and spirituality and connection through holiness, right?
Yeah. To me, it's like we talk about a time travel.
Yeah.
Right. I am just blown away when I listen to this song.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really just his vocals, right?
Yeah, it mostly is.
Yes.
It's an acapella thing. Yeah.
So to try and imagine, like, this song was written for that. This song was written in a time period, most likely in a religious context, where there were not a lot of instruments, most likely because either they did not have them, to the church probably did not allow for them.
Yep.
So it was composed to be sung like this from probably someone who had been studying vocal arrangement in a classical setting for their entirety of a life, that was most likely singing to an aristocracy. Like it was that he's bringing that in 1994.
Yes.
And to your point about the spiritual aspect of it, right? I never feel like this is just a technical performance. It's just stunning. There's so many times you get through a song and it's like, oh no, there come the feels.
Yeah.
It's like he keeps reaching deeper in the song, and I'm just like absolutely stunned.
I don't know if he did this in any live stuff. I'm sure he probably did, but I'd have to look. But I mean, have you done any dives on live stuff from Buckley?
I haven't. So it's
good.
I don't know, but like, do you were talking about sort of his education, right? And the house that he grew up in and what he was exposed to.
Yes.
It's one of those things, like if you had, instruments, like you're taking that influence, like that's coming left field. It's one thing to pull from a jazz standard from the 50s. It's another one to cover sort of really a poet posing as a songwriter, Leonard Cohen.
Yes.
It's a whole other. Here's a religious musical education.
Yes.
And pulling from that, right? Like he hears parts of himself and all of that. So I don't want to belabor this because I want to get to the rest of the songs, but if I'm not driven home the point enough already, like
this is the mind blower for you.
Just floors me every single time I listen.
Yes.
It's almost, the word ethereal doesn't do it justice. It's like mega ethereal.
No.
Too mega ethereal.
Okay, we can let it go.
Let's go.
Got Eternal Life.
Oh man, Eternal Life's kind of the
Yes.
metal track on the album. It's kind of like the banger, the punk banger.
Which is an interesting juxtaposition, right?
Yeah.
It's great. It's fucking fantastic. Like, imagine you're listening to this record and you're listening to Corpus Christi and you're just like, oh my God. And he's like, Eternal Life is now. And you're like, oh my gosh. But, speaking to just the themes in this album, eternal life, that is a concept alone is, and again, like some of these songs, it's more like over the years, I felt the words, but haven't actually, for some of them, done like a deep dive and like, what exactly is he saying? And what exactly like story is he trying to tell lyrically? And that's something that, I assign myself as homework. But I feel like Eternal Life is another one of those ballads where he certainly.
Well, and this is one really you almost got to read the lyrics to, man. It's so fucking good. Eternal life is now on my trail. Got my red glitter coffin, man. Just need one last nail. That is so good, man. I write lyrics, and I couldn't come up with that. While all these ugly gentlemen play out their foolish games, there's a flaming red horizon that screams our names. And hell, right there. That's hell, right?
Yep.
The metaphors are strong in that one.
Yes.
And as your fantasies are broken in two, did you really think this bloody road would pave the way for you? You better turn around and blow your kiss hello to life eternal, angel. Racist, angry man, what have you done? Man, you made a killer of your unborn son.
Yeah, that I remember when I heard that.
I mean, like right now, we could really talk about the political situation in this country, but we won't. Hint, hint. Just watch my IG. You get to see a lot of really terrible shit. Okay, from me. Crown my fear, your king at the point of a gun. All I want to do is love everyone. And as your fantasies are broken in two, did you really think this bloody road would pave the way for you? You better turn around and blow your kiss hello to life eternal. But here's where I really love this one. There's no time for hatred, only questions. What is love? Where is happiness? What is life? Where is peace? When will I find the strength to bring me release? Tell me where is the love in what your prophet has said? Man, it just sounds to me like a prison for the walking dead. I've got a message for you in your twisted hell. You better turn around and blow your kiss goodbye to life eternal, angel. Man, dude, that is such amazing lyricism.
Pinnacle.
Because basically he's talking to, I believe, organized religion. And he's saying, fuck you, man. You don't have the answers. You tell everybody you have the answers, but you don't have the answers for me. And I don't want to hear your bullshit because it's all bullshit. Again, we could talk a lot about the current political situation, which certain people tend to use religion to push their message forward and brainwash people. And I'm an atheist, and I'm not gonna hide that. Am I spiritual in some sense? I used to be more. I know you are. I don't. I have a tough time believing in anything anymore, and that song speaks to me a lot.
Well, I was going to say, in one of the interviews I watched, Jeff spoke to how he likes to gather the nectars from all religion. He seems like he's fairly fluidly religious and or spiritual, which I think a lot of people use the term spirituality to kind of give them that space to not being necessarily, inserted into a particular religion and or box. But I feel like in many ways, this is also speaking to just the concept of hell itself and those who may be on the road to hell,
yeah.
Which is badass to say the least. It's also spooky and curious, like all the songs on this record. But I think this song could be more than just that. I think it could honestly be a political statement of things going on at the time, just like you were saying. Like there's. Well,
it would have been mid-90s. I mean, that's Bush stuff, I believe,
just talking about racism and
racism,
and concepts that obviously they're not. Yeah. Anyways,
I do have to say, Logan says it's funny to see Kellen go from suffocation to singer-songwriter stuff. Musical taste is a beautiful thing. Are you ready for this, Logan? Get ready, man. You're gonna have to clip this, okay? This is words of wisdom from Gas Masks and Hand Grenades Geoff. Man and woman cannot live by metal alone. I'm just saying it. It's a true fact. I love my metal. I don't think my metal cred could ever be what's the word I'm looking for, Kellen?
Question, doubted.
Question. I don't think my metal cred could ever be questioned. I'm gonna die with fucking Fifth Angel and Sabotage and Death and all those. They're gonna go in my coffin, right? Those CDs. But I'm gonna be burned up, so it doesn't matter. They'll be burned up with me anyway. But you can't live on metal alone. And man, we talked about 3 amazing albums. So go ahead. Your take on Eternal.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like this time period So this is the beginning of the first Clinton administration. The 90s was very much a pushback of the 80s, right? Like I think for me culturally, like I remember there seemed to be something about defining itself away from Reagan era politics in America. People were hungry for this, and the fact that like here's someone who I think this was 100% like an interesting sort of turn on this record. I like the fact that he's using this as like, the people who he's influenced by are talking about what's happening around them. I'm not surprised that he's, putting his glimpse into it. Right.
Sure.
So, and I don't see this as necessarily like a pronouncement of any specific ideology as much
Not at all.
Him just trying to like navigate what the world that he's living in. I think compositionally though, it's really interesting that when it begins, it's like, man, this is the most Soundgarden I've got out of the entire listening experience. You know what I mean?
It's the punk Soundgarden song. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, it's like the heaviest. This song begins super heavy. I do think it's really interesting how it evolves though. Because it doesn't say consistently all the time super heavy.
Right.
So like the alt sort of folk stuff works its way in there as well. It's an interesting sort of dimension that we get one glimpse on this record really into. I think there's probably more here. I think as a songwriter, if you were to give, more opportunity for him to write about this, he probably had more to say on the subject.
Which I will say on my sketches from My Sweetheart the Drunk, you hear a little bit more of that grunge on a couple of the songs. Like we were talking about Nightmare by the Sea, and then there's also Kangaroo on the
Kangaroo is like a heavy bat. That's like a 15-minute track or something. They're balls out punk. They're MC5 in it, which by the way, Jeff loved MC5. You know MC5?
I actually don't know.
You don't know MC5's big track? Kellen?
You'd like it. You'd like it for sure.
Word.
Kick out the jams, motherfucker.
Oh, okay.
It's killer, man. It's garage punk,
yes,
heavy metal, maybe one of the very earliest heavy metal tracks.
It's really early, sort of hard, aggressive stuff, but I think it's an interesting one to the juxtaposition from Christie to this. But as a songwriter, I think like that's another element he has, right? He just it wasn't just sort of these interesting sort of love stories or sort of drama within his life. Like I think it's another touchstone of what was happening in 1994.
Yes.
The guys in the chat are talking about connecting with 90s music or 80s music or whatever. I have an advantage over all you guys.
Right.
I'm fucking really old. And so I got to come up through the 70s very cogently. I remember things like everybody was kung fu fighting. I love that shit. Or she's just a devil woman. The 80s AOR album-oriented rock. But I also was listening to stuff like Sitting on a Park Bench, blah, whatever. I don't remember all the words. But, Jethro Tull. So I got to listen to all these things, guys. That's why I think we were talking about not being just a metalhead. I will die with my metal cred intact. But I love so much, and I'm so grateful for being able to share this stuff with some of you that are younger and to say, look, man, it's cool that you came up in the 90s or the 80s or whatever, but go back. Go back. Because there's so much good music back there. I fucking love Benny Goodman. I love Count Basie. All that, all the 50s bebop jazz, Miles Davis and Coltrane. And the reason it is because it really informs who I am as an inquisitive music nerd. I'm a musicologist, not a metalcologist. You know what I mean?
Okay, so do we want to move? Anyone else has anything else to say on this song?
I think we're done.
Yep. Dream Brother.
Dream Brother. My favorite song on the album, hands fucking down.
Yeah.
The way this song develops, the way that it starts, pull those lyrics up a minute, man. The first stanza, I used it in my Instagram post. There's a child sleep. There's a There is a child sleeping near his twin. The pictures go wild in a rush of wind. That dark angel he is shuffling in, watching over them with his black feather wings unfurled. Well, to me, that immediately conjures up the Grim Reaper or Satan. There's something evil that's come into that picture, and the way that it starts out with that really ethereal little arpeggio, da 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 da. I used to know how to play it. I'd have to acquaint myself with it. But when he does that, there is a child sleeping near his twin, watching over them with his black feather wings unfurled. It's so evil the way he sings that, dude. It's like he's fomenting something wicked. Because then he gets into the part where he goes, dream, brother, with your tears scattered round the world. And then, don't be like the one who made me so old. Don't be like the one who left behind his name. 'Cause they're waiting for you like I waited for mine. And nobody ever came. Bow now, bow. And this song gets so darkly heavy. Like I said, Eternal Light's the metal track. But if you really listen to this song, it's kind of the metal track on here in a weird way.
I think this is actually the one that I felt like dove deeper into sort of the psychedelic aspects of the record.
Yes.
Yes.
Very psychedelic.
Which is it's such like a 3-song turn. But for me, it's like it closes the record with sort of this weird sort of drifting off psychedelic element to his songwriting. So
it's like a fever dream almost.
Sure,
like it's not real when you're listening to it. You're like, man, I feel this one makes me feel very unsettled, but in a great way, if that makes any sense. It just makes me feel very like I need to look over my shoulder. Like, is somebody in here listening to this with me right now? Like if I was alone in a room, when that song comes on, I always have that unsettling feeling like I'm not alone in here. Like ghosts are around me and I don't know they're there. And this song, they're channeling through this song to come and hang out with me as I'm listening to Jeff Buckley. Maybe even Jeff fucking Buckley is in my room when I'm jamming this song and he's going, yo, dude, you're thinking way too much about this. You're way off base. But this is by far my favorite song on the album. So
yeah, this is a favorite of mine as well.
This was your other choice?
This is my other choice to play.
Yeah.
But I just feel like because Lover You Should Have Come Over was just a little bit more close to home for me, that's why I chose it. Dream Brother, yeah, I agree. In the same vein, it's just it feels like it has like a beginning and a middle and an end, and it takes you on this sort of climactic journey that may actually not have no end, or may have an end. I don't know.
And I think it definitely is the track that should close the album. Now,
yes,
in future editions, when they reissued it on the Legacy edition, they did put an amazing track on there called what's it called? Forget Her Now, right?
Just Forget Her.
Oh, I thought it's Just Forget Her. Yeah. Man, have you heard this track, Kellen?
Mm-hmm.
You got to go listen to it, dude.
Oh, well, this is on the regular. It's the last song on
What?
the regular.
Not on the original
record.
one, it wasn't. Are you sure?
This is Regular Grace. The Legacy edition, at least
No.
on Spotify,
On
is
the
a separate...
original, hold on. No, on the original version, it was not on there. I'm telling you, it was not on there. Yeah,
okay.
That's the original
so this
track.
is the Legacy edition. It
That
doesn't
has to be the
identify
Legacy,
itself as that. That's weird.
I lived with
Anyways,
this album for years.
It's so weird that Spotify doesn't have it exactly as it needs to be.
Well, fuck Spotify, because
I'm
Daniel
kidding.
X a piece of shit. You know about the guy?
I do not know that much, but I know enough about streaming to know.
Right.
Yeah, I was joking.
I mean, he rips off. He's a multimillionaire. He rips artists off like crazy. So,
Yep.
so Forget Her Now, which you did a cover of, which it would be great if you would load that back up on your Instagram.
I don't know if I have it.
We'll look around for it. You do a piano version, right?
I played it on piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And man, I think it's just mostly him. No, there's a keyboard on it and there's drums. That's it.
It's pretty stripped down. It's nothing too magnificent.
Sing it.
Production. No,
Sing, Mad. Come on.
bro, I'm good. Yeah.
Sing the
There's
chorus.
a time and a
Sing
place.
the chorus. Come on, sing the chorus.
Nar.
Give me the chorus. I'm gonna sing it. God damn it.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
gonna suck, but I'm gonna do it.
if anything, follow my artist page on Instagram, Maddie Moon's Art, and maybe I'll post something on there.
I have your
There you
stuff.
go.
I have your stuff
There
in
you
there.
go.
How do you pull up the lyrics?
Yeah. So just click on the song, and then.
All right, here we go. Yeah, it's Where's the start? Here it is. But don't fool yourself. She was hiding from the moment that I met her, or that you met her. Yeah, I think I've forgotten now. I can't forget that middle section there, like how he enunciated. But I fucking totally wrecked that there. That was a terrible train wreck. But go listen to that song when we get done, Kellen. After your company, you gotta hear that song.
Yeah, it's a great one. I feel like it's kind of like an angstier love song.
It is.
So, relative to what you got, So Real, which I think is definitely a love song, and then you got Lover, You Should Have Come Over. This one almost feels like the most...
It's a fuck you song.
Spiteful. Yeah. But it also holds just a little bit of nuance for I don't know, like that in between of like she could be and is more than, I guess, I don't know, than meets the eye, or the circumstances more than a complete fuck you. It's a nuanced fuck you.
Right.
Say hello, hi.
Yeah, we're almost done. Just give us a minute, okay? We're almost done.
Well, I'm about ready to go to bed. So.
Well, it's good to see you.
How you doing, sweetie?
I'm doing
all right. Well, hang on. Just let me wrap up, Dad. We're live to the internet, so give us 5 minutes, all right?
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna play those tracks real quick. Kellen, I'm sorry, man. I had you here for 3.5 hours. That's crazy.
It's all good. It's all good.
It is so real, though.
Yeah.
It has been so real. Yeah. I don't know when we'll do the next one here. I am going to ask people that watch this in the future or have watched it, drop a couple trios of albums that you like to listen to that you feel are copacetic, like these three, that like I felt these three were. What's your honest opinion on that take about how these three albums really coalesce into a crazy good listening experience?
Yeah, I mean, there was enough sort of like continuity between the three of them.
Right.
And then I also just personally like appreciated being able to talk about something a little bit different.
Exactly. It would have been really weird if I had picked Buckley, Hall the Mountain King, and Pierce from Within.
Well, just like, one, like it was records that I at some degree, for two of them I knew, and I had an emotional connection with. Okay. So, yeah, it was cool. Bye,
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Hi. Oh wait. Oh, I thought that was your wife. It was you over my shoulder. I'm like, wait, your wife's here. That tripped my brain out there.
That's funny.
Yeah, she's home and her grandfather's over here and he wants to talk to her. So go.
Sure.
It was really nice chatting with you, Kellen. And
And I'm gonna play the two songs. I don't know if you want to stick around. You got to go, Kellen. You can go.
Okay. Bye, Maddie.
But yeah. So big, huge thanks to Kellen for guys. Can you go out there?
How's it going?
Guys, can you go that way?
Oh yeah.
Go that way. Your voices are overriding everything. Yeah, we'll see how this progresses. I don't envision myself doing this more than once a month, but we'll see. My health is not good, as you can tell. I'm getting much heavier. They don't know why. They don't understand why I'm gaining so much weight because I'm not eating that much. Hold on one sec, guys. You gotta go back there, please. Sorry. So we'll see how it goes. I've been struggling a lot since MDF. I got incredibly sick after MDF and it really kicked the shit out of me, and I'm struggling to get back to normal. So we'll see what happens. Things coming up. Kellen, you're working on something, I believe, right?
Yeah, so probably, I don't know when it'll be posted, but I'm kind of going to do a little bit of revisiting the transition into the Swedish Death and Roll. So,
okay.
Killing Capacity from Dismember and Wolverine Blues. I just want to revisit those two records and talk about some Swedish death metal. Also, give a little bit of a shout out to Mark G with a C has a new channel.
Really?
A new channel name. Yeah. So
what do you change it to?
I have to. I'll post it when I do the video. But I saw he changed his channel, and he's got a series that's been consistently focusing. I think
The Swedish
called,
death metal thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah, Buzzsaw's the Law, something like that.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Good title.
so I thought I'd just also give him a shout out, and let
Mhm.
everyone know that it's got a channel changed, and
You know what's
thank you, Chris.
coming? You know what's coming soon?
What?
That dude that starts with a V, that guy.
Starts with a V.
Think about it. French guy.
Oh yes.
There's a new album coming soon.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's going to come out. I think it's going to come out in the fall. I believe, like late, like November-ish. So
Okay.
that means the trio of doom are going to have to reconvene. You, me, and Peter, and we'll jump over on your thing and do that. I noticed that. I believe it's the first part. We did that in 2 parts, right? Because it was so extensive. Okay. Am I wrong? But is that like pushing 2,000 views?
Yeah. The first part of the series is up there.
It's kind of weird. The second part's lagging, but I noticed that in my Voivod one, the first part's like crazy high and the second one's less. Same thing for anything I've done a 2-parter on. It seems like people kind of either aren't into the later albums or they just lose steam. I don't know.
Sure. It's hard. It was hard to sit down for 2-3 hours in the same.
What was that? 6 hours that we did that? Roughly
Yeah.
6 hours. You got Big Mouth here. What can I say? Look, man, it ain't ever gonna change. It just is what it is. So if you don't like it, don't have me on. That's the thing. Not you specifically, but I get deep, man. I get fucking deep. So all right, we're gonna do and I just real quick coming up for me, the 19th, which I believe is a Saturday. Yeah, it's Saturday. Dreadful Rick, who was here for a bit, and also Jake, who we don't see that often except for on like, topical stuff. He comes and hangs with Saturday Slay Crew, but which you don't do that much. I get it. You got a wife and a life, so we get it. But Jake is going to join me, and Rick is going to join me, and we're going to do the entire catalog of Swallow the Sun, which I'm stoked for because I really dig that band a lot. Super pissed I missed them in February. I overslept. And then the next night, Dennis OG Press and I are doing the 80s and 90s albums of Lizzie Borden and Anthem.
Okay.
Japanese metal band. So, which not a lot of people talk about that band. I know Devin liked them quite a bit, but a lot of that's going to be new for me. I know them a little bit, but I don't know them real well. The Lizzie, Lizzie was one of my first metal bands back in '86. So, so that's the coming stuff, and there's going to be an Evoken interview coming up. Don't have it locked in yet.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and maybe a Triumph one yet, which would be super awesome. And then I have a couple other ones that I'm working on that I'm irons in the fire. Due to my way I'm feeling, sometimes I'm reluctant to bring a lot of people on and commit and then be like, I don't feel well enough to do this. So had we had to do this yesterday, Kellen, I probably would have had to cancel. I was having a very bad dysautonomia day. So, dude, thank you so much. I'll play these 2 tracks. If you want to hang, you can hang. If you're going to zip, that's cool.
I'm gonna go. I gotta go talk to fam, but thank you so much for inviting me. Thanks once again to Maddie for joining, and we made it happen.
Yep. Tell your wife thank you very much for giving you up to me for 3.5 hours. That sounds weird. And also check Kellen's channel in the information down below. And thank you for reminding me about the Nick Drake thing. I'll throw that in there. So, all right. All right, here we go. I'm going to thank you, Kellen. See you. Good night. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too, buddy. All right. And so now we're going to jump over to YouTube and listen to, we're going to listen to Chris Cornell. A prayer for the end of the world, or a prayer. Yeah, what the fuck's it called now? Now I forget what the song. I even forget what the song's called. All right, let me find the track here. I did not have it queued up. God damn it! Are you serious? Hang on, we're getting there. There we go. All right. Oh, there is a video for this. I did not know that. Okay, here we go. I need to remember to turn off the echo cancellation because I always forget to do that.
For the end of the world.
Imagine a
Looking out the door, I see the rain fall upon the funeral mourners, parading in a wake of sad relations as their shoes fill up with water. Maybe I'm too young to keep good love from going wrong, but tonight you're on my mind and soul. You never know, broken down and hungry for your love, with no way to feed it. Where are you tonight, child? You know how much I need it. Too young to hold on, and too old to just break free and run. Sometimes a man gets carried away, he feels like he should be having his fun, but much too blind to see the damage he's done. Sometimes a man must wait to find that really he has no one. So I wait for you, and I'll burn. Will I ever see your sweet return? Oh, will I ever learn? Oh, love that should have gone over. See, it's not too late. Lonely is the room the bed is made, the open window lets the rain in. Burning in the corner is the only one that dreams he had you with him. My body turns and yearns for a sleep that won't ever come. It's never over. My kingdom for a kiss upon her shoulder. It's never over. All my riches for her smiles when I slept so soft against her.
All right. Give me one sec here. I had to get the echo cancellation. All right, Maddie's back real quick.
Hello.
We're gonna go catch fireworks here in a minute. Bite to eat and fireworks. So, thank you to everybody that hung out. James, Falafel, Rick, Logan. There was a couple. Ryan Lemur was in here earlier. I didn't have a lot of opportunity to pull up comments, guys. I'm sorry. There were a lot of comments. There's always a lot of comments when James is in a chat. He's like the Jeff Kiefer of chats. Kellen was here. There was a couple of early ones I didn't see. Here we go. Peter the Metal Vault, which is late over there. So, and then we had who else? There was another couple names I didn't recognize. There you go, Blake Gunnels. Thanks for popping in, Blake. And anyway, guys, buy a shirt. Please buy a shirt. $25. I should get the one out of the closet. It's buried in there.
Yeah.
So it's killer looking. Go on that. If you go to that big cartel store, you can look at it first. And trust me, Marty Worm from Heavy Metallurgy did the printing. It's fucking fantastic. Lee G from Heavy Art Talk did the original artwork. It's magnificent. Rick did the layout on the back with the printing and everything. Just, I have so many cool friends. And yes, James, American History X, that's what it was called, not Generation X. I couldn't remember. Had a lot going on in my brain, which is not well. So, yeah, there you go. First edition of 3 of an Imperfect Pair. Logan brought up 2 albums that go together super well. Well, one, Mad Season and Temple of the Dog. Need to figure out a third one there, Logan, and you need to come on this show. And I'll make sure it's like 6 hours instead of 3. Just kidding. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Swallow the Sun on Saturday the 19th. And the 19th, Dennis OG Press and I are back with Forgotten Metal Gems of the 80s and 90s. Lizzie Borden, Anthem. And if you guys have any interesting combos, trios of bands that you feel go really well together, that had some threads through them like these did, drop them in the comments. And if I like them enough, I'll either invite you on or we'll get one of my other guys, regulars, to come on with me. And we'll talk. If you're not into coming on, we'll go over your album. So I guess that's it. Anything from you? Maddie Moon's Art, Instagram. Don't be fucking creeps, because I'll know about it if you are. Don't be creepers and weirdos. Be nice. She's amazing.
Can I shout out one other thing?
Yeah, shout out.
I also just started a Substack. I feel like, to be a lyricist, you have to be a writer, right? So I just started a Substack where I kind of post little personal essays. That it should just be Mads. So MADS, and my picture is of young Maddie. So
you can see, young cutie pie, Maddie. You're still cutie pie, but you were very young. You need to send me the link, and I'll put it in the description. So,
I shall.
Everybody, thank you so much. Appreciate it. You guys rule. Everybody that did spend time with us, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. And it looks as though we were troll free today. Am I right about that? Were we troll free? I've had some issues with a troll that likes to come in here and give me shit about my medical problems, and they don't know anything about my medical problems. But yeah, I think we were troll free. Let's hope. I don't know. Alternative exploitation. I don't. You're talking about. Okay, you guys are talking. Anyways, all right, Mario. Good luck with your issue that I saw. I don't know what. I didn't get a chance to read it. I just saw you had a condition and had to have surgery. Good luck with that. I know all about medical fucking nightmares because I'm living one. And I go to Penn Neuro on the 8th of August, and I'm sure they will be fucking clueless like all the other doctors have been. I do not like doctors. Just going to say that. Anyway, not all, but most. So you guys take it easy. All right. Thank you, Mads, for being here.
Yes.
He's finally doing one.
Yes.
I'm going to get you back. We're going to do
You've gotten me for 3 now, so that's pretty good.
Well, no, I mean, it's been like a long time.
Yeah. Right.
So, but we'll get you back. We'll get you back on one of these for something that you and I can do that's unique, like Buckley, but I know we have some.
Well, we talked about George Harrison. All things
Harrison,
Must Pass.
All Things
So
That Pass.
We could do that in Beatles.
No, I think we're just gonna do something on
Yeah.
All Things Must Pass.
That works.
Because did you see what I have there?
Yes.
That's the 8 album version. That's super deluxe. Hasn't even been played yet. So, all right, all the demos, everything. So, see you guys.
Bye.
Peace out later. There you go. See you, Falafel.